really long. And I don't think I've ever done a race that's been 4 laps, and I'm old school, so maybe even older school.
Man, it's going to be slick, but hey, I think it'll be fun. It's going to be loose out there today, so just let her slide, I guess. Slip and slide kind of day.
Well, I don't got much to lose. Haven't had an awesome year, but these are my conditions, so I'm ready.
Oh, I'm feeling good. Yeah, I'm ready to go. It's my conditions out here. I love the mud, and it'll be fun. I think I gotta finish 16th place today to lock up the championship. So let's get it done, and we'll celebrate after. I'm ready to go.
GNCC is back on RacerTV.com, the Ironman GNCC. We are setting historic numbers here this weekend, on track to do so. Then some huge names from Supercross, Pro Motocross, and of course the world of GNCC. We've crowned a champion in Johnny Gerard. We've crowned a champion in the NC2 with Grant Davis, but there is so much to race for. Everybody wants that momentum heading into the off-season, and it all starts right here, right now on RacerTV.com.
Are you ready to go? GNCC Racing!
Good afternoon and welcome to the 13th and final round of the 2024 Progressive Grand National Cross Country Racing Series presented by Specialized, your AMA National Championship. We are here at the Ironman Raceway for the Yamaha Racing Ironman GNCC. Our race for the cure. That's why I'm donned in pink. Johnny Gallagher, you're the blue crew guy, so you got to be representing the Yamaha here today, man. Ironman is just like no other. It continues to just grow and grow. And what a season finale we've had, and we've got more in store today.
You know, Mikey, we have the famous Ironman question. You going?
You going?
And you yourself and David Quillen, coined that term. I think
took off. Didn't expect that.
I think the answer this year is yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And it is every year, but this year more so than ever. Everyone was going, has gone, and is here. If you've ever owned a dirt bike, an ATV, a garden tractor, you're here this weekend. And, man,
which cannot be used as pit vehicle, by the way.
And it just shows just how rabid the fans and participants of GNCC racing are. And what an awesome weekend. We're going to have some great racing action in store all day today. Yesterday was a barn burner. We know we're going to see more of it today. And it's Ironman, baby. Let's get it going.
Yeah, you know, it's like no other. And yes, we have wrapped up the championship. Johnny Girard captured that. Don't believe Johnny is racing today. At least that's the last word we got.
Yeah, we actually, from what we believe, Johnny Girard may be on Baby Watch 2024.
Yes. Makes sense.
A new Girard coming into the world before us here very soon. So, Johnny, if you're at home watching, congratulations to you and Selena and Ziggy. New little brother or sister for him. Our current champion will be defending next year. Not with us today. Obviously, sometimes life has bigger plans.
That's right, and that's perfectly okay. But we look at the rest of the XC1, and you know what? We did crown a new champion. Another different name as a champion with Girard. Craig DeLong's got one. Jordan Ashburn has one. We've seen this kind of mix of winners since Caleb Russell's retirement. And I guess the big question as we head into next season is, will we have our first repeat winner out of that group? Will it be someone new?
Yeah, it's, you pointed it out. There's been a lot of parity. We saw, 8 winners in 2023. Obviously, this year we had some winners, but Johnny was really kind of dominant throughout the year, which is the first we've seen that since Ben Kelly back in 2022, winning the first 6.
So another one.
It's been a whole lot of race winners, new race winners, all new champions since Caleb Russell's retirement. So what will we see for next year? I don't know, but that's what makes the season so exciting. With all the racing action here today, a lot of people already looking forward to the offseason, already looking forward to 2025.
We talk about momentum, and you want that heading into the offseason. So all those guys lining up on the XC1 today, whether they've won this year or they haven't, you want to kind of carry that confidence to know, hey, I'm capable of making it happen. I'm going to hit the ground running for 2025.
Absolutely. And, there are still, we do know that bonuses are paid out on season-ending finishes and race win bonuses. A lot to race for here today. Maybe none more so than Grant Davis. Already wrapped up that XC2 title. But the number 2 overall in the GNCC series on the line for him here today. If he can have a good run. And in typical Grant Davis, I'm not worried about it fashion. Leaving his trusty steed that won him that XC2 championship behind and saying, hey, I'm going to race a 252 stroke because this might be my last chance to ever do it. So he's going to go out there and try and put the finishing touches on a masterful season on a bike he's never ridden before. So keep it exciting. You got to love that kid. He keeps it fresh and just loves riding a dirt bike.
Hey, something in store for the two-stroke fans, which is everybody, I think, out there. So leave it to Grant Davis. Put a little hot sauce on it at the end of the season with the two-stroke. I love that.
Absolutely. And, I mean, if you're Jordan Ashburn, he wants to throw his name in the mix for the 25 championship. He's going to want to win. I mean, let's just turn around, grab the entry list for XC1. Ricky Russell, the list, just Craig DeLong wants to have something to build off of going into next year. Stu Baylor, of course. I mean, the fans here for Stu are rabid. He wants to grab a win today. So we're going to see some bar banging action. It's going to be exciting, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, cannot wait to get to it again. 2 championships wrapped up, but tons of amazing racing. Johnny, I'm ready to get this thing going, man.
Well, since you're ready to get it going, I think we're going to let Mikey head down to the starting line, do some 10-second calls. We're going to get a word from our sponsors, and we're going to be back with all of the racing action live on Racer TV.
When I take the bike out like this, all my stresses just melt away.
I hear that. This bad boy can fix anything.
Yep, tough day at work. Nice cruiser sorts you right out.
When I'm riding, I'm not even thinking about my painful cavity.
Oh, you shouldn't ignore
And
that.
every time I get stressed about having to pay my bills, I just hop on the bike, man.
Oh, come on, man. You gotta pay your bills.
You don't have to worry about anything when you're protected by America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
Well, you definitely do. Those things aren't related, so.
Oh, that is a vibrating pain.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com. Get ready. History made here at GNCC today. Josh Toth out of the XC2 class is your overall winner of the general GNCC. There it is. Bang! Checkered flag flies for Dante Oliveira, grabbing the overall win. Johnny Gerard will finish second and, most importantly, keep that overall points lead.
Stu Baylor on screen, mile 2, out front, still roughly about that 2 to 3 second mark over Johnny Gerard.
Checkered flag flying, Ricky Towery, and there he is, the 5-1-4. Craig DeLong, Johnny Gerard, mano a mano.
I think if Johnny can maybe send it around the outside, like he's running in there.
So close. It will be the number 1. Craig DeLong capturing his first win of the season aboard the Rockstar Energy Factory Racing Husqvarna.
Johnny Gerard up in front of Grant Baylor here.
He's going to be riding like an absolute wild man now. There is Gerard bringing it in. Gonna see Ricky Towery with the checkered flag. Bang, and he looks over his shoulder. Congratulations to Johnny Gerard.
That is a full XC1.
Is this a NASCAR race?
Not only is Grant Davis battling for the XC2 championship, he's sitting third right now in the overall points for the year, Stu.
Your XC2 leader on screen, and it is Grant Davis, Playboy, as they're calling him.
Oh, that's right.
I did know that. He's got a new nickname, and he's out there and just looking sweet.
And Johnny Gerard will take your checkered flag here at the Buckwheat 100.
And you, Grant Davis, your overall winner by 2 seconds. He edges out Johnny Gerard for the overall win for the second time ever, and the second time in 2024. Grant Davis takes the overall win.
As he is going to check in right here. One more turn, and there is Ricky Towery waving the checkered flag, and the number 3 Coastal Racing Factory Gas rider, Jordan Ashburn, will take his first win of the 2024 season.
Ironman has got to be, I mean, it's definitely the biggest spectator and biggest turnout of the year for the whole series, and it's a show.
Ironman is just one of those races, again, like snowshoe. You can't not have a good time. I can DNF and have a good time at Ironman because the crowd is on fire. They keep you alive. Man, from the music starting on Friday all the way to the hill climb Saturday, Sunday, it's just a good time, and it's the end of the year.
You can't forget. Take a quick look and settle your
Everybody watching at home on RacerTV.com. Just wrapped up with our prayer and our national anthem, and still on a little bit of a delay, but without further, my favorite word, ado, finally Googled it, know what that means now. I'm going to let you guys Google it on your own. But without further ado, we are going to introduce our starting row for the XC1 Pro class, and rolling in accordance to points, the number 3 out of Livingston, Tennessee, on the Coastal Racing Factory Gas, Jordan Ashburn. Rolling to the line next, the 514 out of Hodges, South Carolina, aboard the Rocky Mountain ATV MC Red Bear Racing Kawasaki, Stu Baylor. Rolling to the line next, the number 1 out of Waynesburg, Pennsylvania, aboard the Rockstar Energy Factory Racing Husqvarna, Craig DeLong. Up next, the 282 out of North Carolina, aboard the Phoenix Racing Honda, Mike Wachowski. Up next, the 347 out of Jefferson, Georgia, on an Active Air, Max Motorsports, and FXR backed Husqvarna, Evan Smith. Up next, the number 7 on a JS Racing backed Beta Machine. Say hello to Josh Strang. And now the number 178, a rider out of Australia, aboard the Babbitts Online Monster Energy Team Green Kawasaki, Lyndon Snodgrass. Up next, the 739 out of Morganton, North Carolina, on the Rockstar Energy Factory Racing Husqvarna, Trevor Bollinger. Up next, the 198 aboard the M Pro Yamaha. Say hello to Liam Draper. Up next, the 530, the number 14. All right, the number 14 out of Chile aboard the Phoenix Racing Honda, Rui Barbosa. There, okay, now we're right. Ben Kelly, the 530 out of Connecticut, aboard the FMF Factory Racing KTM, Ben Kelly. And now the 336 out of Elkin, North Carolina, aboard the Coastal Racing Factory Gas. Welcome back, Ryder Lafferty. And last but not least, the 212 out of Duval, Washington, on the M Pro Yamaha. He's rough, he's rowdy, Ricky Russell. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your starting row for the XC1 Pro class here at the Yamaha Racing Ironman GNCC. And as our riders take their position on row number 1, DJ Judd exits the Monster Energy Activation Transport, hops into the Yamaha R Max 1000, throws on the Sparkle helmet. It's always a Sparkle helmet for me. Looks good, Judd. Puts on his safety harness because safety first. And this is where we like to say, DJ Judd, remove the meat. As DJ Judd makes his way off of the starting line, and makes some way out there for DJ Judd. And the adrenaline begins to pump as we are just about ready to roll. 1, last time here for 2024. Maggie Duvall, you got a good taste in pants. Like it. You can't hear me, but that's okay. All eyes gonna fixate down into turn number 1. Listening to radio chatter again, we were on delay. And they are still talking about it now, waiting on track sweep to come in. Make sure we've got a good, clear, safe racetrack for our pro bike race. So getting close to the nitty-gritty here. Now all eyes will fixate down into turn number 1, where the maestro, Ricky Towery, will step out onto the racetrack. Steps forward and he lets our riders know 1 minute. 1 minute until we are ready. I gotta have you guys like right. I gotta see right there. Your money. Your money. Until we're ready to go. GNCC Racing as Ricky now looks down at his watch. And there it is. Blue flag waves. Blue flag waves. Shut them down. Shut them down. Shut them down. As we are just about ready to roll now, and I gotta ask you, Ironman GNCC, are you ready to go GNCC racing? Oh, that's pretty good, but this is the season finale. This is it for the year. You gotta get loud and proud. I'm gonna ask you one more time. Are you ready to go GNCC racing? Seconds for row number 1, the XC1 Pro. Bang, and they're off. Craig DeLong with a good drive up the inside. Ooh, may have gotten shuffled back. And no, it will be the number 1 Rockstar Energy Husqvarna of Craig DeLong, snagging the Steel City Medical Center holeshot award as the XC1 riders kick the dust up and head off into the woods here at Ironman GNCC, and we reset the deck with the XC2 250 Pro Class Steel City Medical Center holeshot award up for grabs. And they are just about ready to roll as Ricky looks down at his watch. Angus Reardon, Cody Barnes, Zachary Davidson, Toby Cleveland, Brody Johnson, 10 seconds. T-Rex, Nick DeFeo, Jesse Ansley, Michael DeLosa, Jack Mentha, Sawyer Caratura, Jason Liscombe, Brandon Georgie, Grant Davis, and Jonathan Johnson. And here they come. And oh, that's going to be the 9. Man, I couldn't quite get my eyes on it. Was that the 913? Brandon Georgie grabbing a hole shot. And here we go with the FMF XC3. 10 seconds. Low Jack Cycle Sales Hole Shot Award up for grabs. Tyler Shields, Rayleigh Messer, Jason Crawford, Dakota DeVore, Jack Walker, and Joe Schreiber. Around the first turn they go. Oh, side by side. 719 Jack Walker. 719 Jack Walker will grab that Low Jack Cycle Sales hole shot. 10 seconds. Open A, Kitten Coleman, Samuel Evans, Joe Cunningham, Lane Morrison, Trevor Goetz, Tanner Stennett, Chase Yule, Aiden White, TJ Gold, Trevor Hewlin, Chad Wiley, Griffin Schwab, Cole Whitmer, and Hunter Smith. No doubt about that one. 950 Hunter Smith out of Gainesville, Texas, on that bone cutter, and Moose Racing back drive with the hole shot and early lead. 250A ready to roll. 10 seconds. Lane Whitmer, Ryan Piper, Cooper Jones, Jeremy Wallstrom, Gavin Simon, Chase Landers, Hunter Bush, Collier Martinez, Jordan Mees, Will Steven Piper, Peyton Wilds, Trevor Maley, and Jacob Voland. The 199, I think that's Jacob Voland, 919 on the helmet sticker out of Morgantown, Indiana, with that hole shot and early lead. 158. seconds. David Johnson, Tucker Henry, Colton Keaton, Nolt Camper, Cody Lee, Logan Johnson, Eli Childers, Matthew Bell, Easton Uplinger, Brandon Hashman, and Kiefer Galliano. Around the first turn we go, coming into the hole shot. Oh, takes his lunch money right there. That was the 999 out of Weston West, by God, Virginia, of Kiefer Galliano, making the grown man move. 10 seconds. Four-stroke A-Lights, Colton Shields, Van Adams, Wade Tucker, Luciano Rocha, Rivers Morris, Ty Ely, Brady Beerbaum, Jared Pauley, Samuel Hinkle, Lane Smith, James Jenkins, Gavin Bird, Joshua Connor. Oh, too tight to call. The 188 and the 118. All over them. Like a Doberman on a T-bone steak right there. We're here for it. 10 seconds. Senior A, 40-plus, Joe Marsh, Frank Messina, Cody Hosta, Brent Loker, Pete Petrucci, Andy Shea, Nathan Allring, Robert Root, Jeremy Zajac, and Darren Damos. Who wants it? 184. Look like maybe the 180 on the helmet sticker. That is Cody Hosta out of Xenia, Ohio, grabbing that hole shot. 10 seconds. Junior A, 25-plus. Andrew Boggs, Brandon Moore, Mario Tonchev, Russell Smith, Wyatt Ford, Joey Crown, Matthew McDonald, Eric Douglas, Joshua Chack, Arton Shelley, Aaron Higgins, Corey Jordan, and Trevor Wingassen. 177, that's going to be Mario Tonchev on that Westfield and DQ-tuned backride. Vet A, 30-plus, Scott Hopper, Kenny McCreen. 10 seconds. Cody Powell, Jordan Mapes, Zachary Page, Danny Hoff, Brandon McKean, Thomas Wagner, Daniel Sims, Bradley Kramer, Ryan Kosmeyer, and Gregory Funk. Who's got the funk? Gregory's got the funk. Here we go. Who wants it? 468 out in front. No, it's going to go to the 471. Bradley Comer out of Leander, Texas on that TJ Cycles. Out of Austin, Texas, back to KTM Open B. 10 seconds. Nate Garrison, Keegan Faulkner, Chris Gates, Hunter Chapman, Tyler Sampson, Blake Freiberger, Adam Cerny, Dustin Seeley, Damon Felix, Landon Tirapin, Clayton Pratt, Caleb Hagan, Colton Painter, and Hayden Jones. Oh, power on the ground, 169. That's Chris Gates out of LaGrange, Ohio. I think he was on the gas right there. 250B. 10 seconds. Devin Moore, Ethan Harwell, Ty Atkinson, Clayton Servati, Hayden Harris, Briar Menace, Caton Wildrick, Cole Note Camper, Lennox Riley, Seth Boyd, Steele Reeves, Sidney Tatara, Logan Pellegrini, and Theodore Dane. 910, Logan Pellegrini out of Findlayville, Pennsylvania, on that PR2 suspensions backride. 150B, 10 seconds. Jack Whalen, Finn Caldwell, Jaden Ferris, Jarman Lilly, Griffin Gottsacher, Nico Pursuti, Gavin Hampton, James Simpson, Owen James, Julian Loy, Arson Bogner, and Caleb Johnson. Through the first turn we go. Who wants it? Yamaha ride out in front. Can he hang on? Buzzing. That was the 973 out of Millfield, Ohio. Caleb Johnson grabbing that one. 10 seconds. Four-stroke B lights. TJ Brown, Evan Moyer, Maddox Moretz, Owen Lewis, Andrew Meyer, Griffin Coleman, Jack Algery, Colton Mochtock, David Singleton, Noah Abner, Carlo Clary, Jacob McPherson. That's hot. Here we go. I almost said hot. That's Joey Stewart. That's a quad guy. That's Meatball right there. The 494 of Jacob McPherson. Meatball, absolute whole shot machine all season long, that young man. Love to see it. Senior B, 40-plus, 10 seconds. Larry Hopper, Fernando Pino, Frank Glauner, Stephen Bradshaw, Stenko Glavin, Adam Nostick, Jeff Carroll, David Trinkle, Nathan Welch, Levi Rawson, and Nick Frady. Oh, no doubt about that one. 446. That is Adam Nostick out of Garfield Heights, Ohio, on that Action Extreme Sports and Point View cycle backride. Grabbing that one. Junior B, 25-plus, 10 seconds. Anthony Opplinger, Jack Moore, Devin Hall, Zach Cummins, Ryan Bierman, Cody Elford, and Garrett Michaels. Briley Stollenberger out there as well. Good little three-way battle up front. Ryder has to check up a little bit right there. Laying it down. 9.25 on the machine. And look like a 9.25 on the helmet. I believe it's our Vet B 30 plus. 10 seconds. Michael Jarosco, Corey Armstrong, Alex Grunder, Jared Howe, Levi Pollard, Darren Fesco, Josh Hill, Ross Warner, Stephen Harlow, Jason Kors, Nathan Simons, Billy West. Let's make sure all those riders are off the line. Looks like they are. Grabbing a hole shot. Oh, that was about 2-3 guys right in the mix right there, but off to a sensational start. How about it? Craig DeLong grabbing the hole shot for the XC1 Pro Class. How is it all going to sort out here today? Of course, Johnny Gerard not racing with us. Johnny, if you're watching back home, man, know you're going to have a little one. So hopefully things are going well for you and the missus back home. We'll take a short break, get in a word from our sponsors, and we'll be back with more from the Yamaha Racing Ironman GNCC.
Craig DeLong, you're watching GNCC Live on RacerTV.com.
You know, when I take the bike out like this, all my stresses just melt away.
I hear that. This bad boy can fix anything.
Yep, tough day at work. Nice cruiser sorts you right out.
When I'm riding, I'm not even thinking about my painful cavity.
Oh, you shouldn't ignore that.
And every time I get stressed about having to pay my bills, I just hop on the bike, man.
Oh, come on, man. You gotta pay your bills.
You don't have to worry about anything when you're protected by America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
Well, you definitely do. Those things aren't related, so...
Ah, yee! Oh, that is a vibrating pain.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
Take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call it a night. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Whatever you drive, however you drive. AMSOIL specially engineers lubricants to maximize power, performance, and protection in your vehicles, so you can work hard and play hard with confidence. Order online at amsoil.com.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized e-turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com. Get ready.
Hello everyone out there on Racer TV, and welcome back to the Yamaha Racing Ironman GNCC, the race for the cure. This is the 13th and final round of the Progressive Grand National Cross Country Series presented by Specialized. My name is Jackson Burl, and I'll be alongside Johnny G and Zach Heron, along with some special guests throughout the day. Boys, this is what it all comes down to right here, the Ironman GNCC.
Well, like you said, Jackson, so many things undecided still coming into this round. Obviously, our XC1 and XC2 titles have been decided, but there's pride, there's egos, and there's off-season momentum waiting to be built here at this final round of the season. But you know how to get a good start. You know how the best way to set up for a good finish is with a good start. Megawatt may disagree if he's out there listening to us, but we're going to take a look at the Specialized start recap and look at how our XC1, 2, and 3 got kicked off, starting with the big dogs, the XC1 Open Pro, and be on the lookout right from the center of the line, rocking some pink gear this weekend. The number 1, Craig DeLong, going to be the last time running the number 1 for this year. And Lyndon Snodgrass tries to sneak up the inside. They do credit Craig DeLong with the whole shot, but Snodgrass quickly able to capitalize and move into that number 1 spot. That's Mike Wachowski on the Phoenix Racing Honda just behind as they head off into the woods. So Snodgrass not getting credited with the whole shot, but is going to lead that XC1 field. A little flash forward there as they move into the group. Looked like Stu Baylor not quite getting the start that he was looking for. Your XC2 class, what a drive from Brandon Georgie on the 913, and he had Toby Cleveland. Look at that side-by-side drag racing into turn 1, but it is going to be Georgie grabbing the whole shot. But how about T-Rex? Nick DeFeo, I believe this is his second XC2 race, also able to capitalize, sneaking around the inside, and is going to lead the XC2 field headed into the woods. Believe that is Toby Cleveland just behind him in the second place spot. So Brandon Georgie going to get credited with that whole shot award, but going to shuffle back to third. The FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am, it was a drag race headed into turn number 1. We weren't sure who it was going to be. Looked like possibly the 333, but look at this. Jack Walker leaves the gas on, hangs onto it slideways, headed into turn 2, and Walker going to grab the XC3 whole shot, and looks like he was going to be able to hang on to the lead as they headed off into the woods as well. He's definitely got some company, though, as well. A little bit of bar banging as they kick off lap number 1. That's how things get started now. We've only got about 2 hours and 59 minutes of racing action to go, as now you see your leader on screen, Lyndon Snodgrass, that Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Kawasaki. Craig DeLong in the second place spot, and Johnny G, we welcome you here. Looking at the unknown variable as well, we're talking about the dust.
Yeah, it was dusty, and I actually got out to check out a little bit of the track after the start there, and it was crazy. The running order as they came through, virtually identical to what it was when they went into the woods. Visibility at a premium here today. Not a lot of opportunities for passing, as you can see. Now we head over to the famous Ironman Hill, and it was still Lyndon Snodgrass out front, pushing the pace, first up the big hill to the big cheers of the crowd. Craig DeLong, welcome back, and welcome back to a second place position here to start this one off. But other than a few sections where they're down by the creek, the dust is just so much more prominent than what I was expecting here today, guys.
Well, and you touched on it even yesterday. It's not necessarily that it's that dusty, but it doesn't go anywhere, right? Especially when you get into the thicker parts of the woods. The wind not able to get in there and move it out of the way, so it just kind of hovers, as now we're looking like that might be Trevor Bollinger battling with Ben Kelly. Craig DeLong, like you said, returning here for the tail end of the season, did have an injury to the hand. I believe even got some surgery on that pinky finger knuckle area. Looking good to start, but gotta wonder where the fitness and comfort's going to be late in the race, as you see Ricky Russell now on the Ampro Yamaha making his way up the hill.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with Craig. Talking with him a little bit, he unfortunately had to sit out the International 6 Days Enduro the last 2 weeks that we were in Spain, but he did come over, cheer on his teammates, and he said, hey, I'm back riding. You know, it's good for 15 minutes the first day, 30 minutes the next day. He was kind of going in 15-minute increments. I asked him on the starting line if he thought he had the full 3 hours. He said, we're going to see. He said, but I'm going to get everything I got to try to close out this season strong.
Well, definitely given all that he's got. And another rider trying to end the season on a high note is the Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Kawasaki of Lyndon Snodgrass. Hang on to it. Man, almost getting caught up in that deceivingly thick silt. This has been one thing we heard our trail boss talk a lot about. Just because it looks a certain way does not mean that there are not surprises underneath or that it is not thicker than you were expecting. But we talked about Lyndon trying to end things on a high note, and we were able to catch up with the rider a little earlier today.
Yeah, Ironman, definitely one of my favorite races for the year, just because the crowd and that whole atmosphere there being the last race of the year, it's definitely a bit of a spectacle. You'd think the whole state's there's that many people, but no, it's fun, and it's always good racing there too. I think it's like a bit of a faster track than some of the others, and kind of the way the track forms up, there's a lot of lines and makes for good racing. Ironman Hills, it's you know, you got a few lines to select to go up this one hill, and you know, either side of each line is just lined with people, and you got to make sure you get up, otherwise you're stuck there getting dragged up by the fans. I haven't got stuck on it yet. I've made it up every time, but you know, you see some of the top guys, they'll, you know, one little mistake and you're caught out and you get stuck there. But lucky the fans love it, and they get down on their hands and knees and they'll drag you up the hill and get you back going.
So there you got to hear a word from Lyndon Snodgrass, and as we watch the rest of our riders make their way around, I got a chance to sit down there on the start live and in person, seeing Stu Baylor now popping his way through, and I saw Lyndon Snodgrass on the outside getting off of the machine, and he was messing with that back wheel. He was rolling it back and forth. Johnny, for our fans at home that might not know, what exactly was he doing?
So there's a lot of, all these machines have their own little personalities, I guess you would say, and everybody's got their own system, their own procedure that they do to try to get these machines to start quickly. A lot of guys will bump the start button to try to make sure, number one, that the engine is at top dead center on a compression stroke, and number two, that the fuel pump is primed and ready to go. So it's most of these machines fuel injected, so you want to make sure you have ample fuel pressure when you do hit that starter button. So a lot of times what guys will do is they can feel the compression stroke of the machine better by rolling the rear wheel versus using the starter button. So a lot of guys will do that. There's guys that will actually run two starter buttons so they can toggle back and forth to try to feel what the engine is doing. And a lot of times one of those starter buttons is also a backup. But there's a lot of things. There's several of the teams, I don't know if it's a big secret, but they'll run a 9-volt battery that'll actually prime the fuel system, and it'll only last just a couple minutes. They'll plug it in just before the start. So on a day like today where it's so dusty and a start is so important, they're going to take every extra second, every minute, every trick they got up their sleeve. They're going to pull them out on a day like today to try to get that whole shot.
Well, and you touched on exactly what I was getting ready to allude to, how crucial the start is on a day like today. Obviously, at GNCC, you always want to get a good start, but in dusty conditions like this, especially as surprisingly thick as we have seen that dust, I mean, look at Lyndon Snodgrass right now, probably not pulling any tear-offs. He's got clean air, not just beneficial for him, but for the bike as well. And so we've seen it one of our earlier rounds in the season where it was a little dustier. So riders even getting a little too antsy trying to get that start, but it just shows how crucial they feel it is to get up front early.
Yeah, absolutely. They want to be out. They want to have clear vision. You know, in Lyndon's case, he got that whole shot. Nobody in front of him. He's going to get at least a full lap, maybe a lap and a half. You know, we'll have all the clear vision that he can to try to run away. And also it's saving energy. When you're out front like that, you're not having to kind of, it's hard to explain, but when you're riding in the dust, even the best of the best guys that say like, oh, I could see through the dust, you're tense. Your muscles are, you're kind of just hanging on tight. You're anticipating every next bump. But it's one of those things that, you know, it's hard to say just how important getting out front is. And on a day like today, it's just extra important.
Well, one person that got out front was Craig DeLong off the start. Good to have Craig back out here with us. And I believe we got to catch up with him about the Ironman Raceway.
Ironman's like it's like a snowshoe. It's a huge party. It's one of those races where you wish you weren't racing almost, just because you could enjoy the party. But it's good as a race. It's fun. It's different every time you go there, depending on the weather, and sometimes it's 60 degrees and sometimes it's 30 degrees. Just that time of year, you don't know what you're gonna get. Or it's gonna be, you know, 3 inches of mud or perfect conditions. So. It's a fun track. It's cool to see the transformation it's had in the last 10 years or so, from before it was a motocross track to now where it's a full-blown national track. So it's definitely been cool to see the transformation in the last couple years, and yeah, it's definitely one to come to, that's for sure.
All right, and we're back. Still out front, it is Lyndon Snodgrass leading the way, and maybe a little extra motivation for Lyndon. Oh, look at this, Craig DeLong now getting a little bit of pressure. Oh, I thought there was another rider behind him. I guess that was just the dust and the shadows, but not exactly sure what Lyndon's plans are for next year. Haven't heard a lot of buzz about where he may land. Possibly still actually looking for a ride for the 2025 season. He may have landed one. I may just not know about it. But a little bit extra, a little bit extra swagger, and he's out front leading, clear vision, and pulling away just a little bit. But Craig DeLong back there in pursuit and pushing for all he's worth to try to close the gap. So look at this now, guys. It's really starting to get dusty and chaotic. Chaotic is the word. Rui Barbosa trying to make some passes, getting up in here. And, where we see now, looks like Stu Baylor has made a few moves. He has actually gotten around this rider we see here, which is Ben Kelly, former champion in the series. And he's trying to make tracks, but the dust is just getting thicker and thicker. Looks like we might have actually had some of our XC2 riders up in the mix there. And, man, you can see only about 10 or 12 riders through, and the dust just keeps getting thicker and thicker and thicker, getting harder and harder to see. Now we see some more riders working their way through. There is Thad Duvall. Last we saw, he was running second in that XC2 Pro Lights class, and we're absolutely on a tear right now, trying to make the fans here at Ironman hang on the edge of their seats.
Man, we've got celebrity appearances all over the place. We got people popping in to race ATVs, motorcycles. We've also got some great, amazing guests from our friends over at the AMA. I've got Gary Pontius here from the board of directors, the vice chairman with me. Gary, obviously we heard you talking a little bit about before the race, but we've got some exciting stuff coming up. We're running for some positions as well. Why don't you tell the fans at home a little bit about it?
Yeah, I've been on the AMA board of directors for 9 years now, and we basically have 6 regions in the United States, and I represent the North Central region, which is Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, and Nebraska. And I try to go to a lot of the races in all those regions, and I've been a racer myself for over 50 years, and as my wife says, it shows an incredible lack of curiosity about anything else in life. But
that's what I was going to ask, was there's got to be some experience riding yourself, because it seems like everybody, whether it's a Blue Crew member, whether it's an AMA member, an announcer, we've all got a deep-rooted love for off-road racing, whether it be GNCC, motocross, or supercross. So you've been out there, you've thrown your leg over a bike many times as well, right?
Absolutely. I've pretty much been the spectrum of what you can do with AMA racing. Started off as just a journeyman racer and ended up being a promoter for 15 years and was on the district board for 26 years, and now I've been on the AMA board for 9 years. So that's pretty much been my life.
Wow, that's an incredible accomplishment. Now, for everybody at home, for those listening here on site, if they are living in this area, in the region, they have to be living in this region to be able to vote, correct?
Correct, yeah. Only people in the North Central region can vote, and the voting opens December 1st and goes through January 15th. And there'll be ballots in the magazine, and I believe they'll be sending out ballots via email or text message. I'm not sure how that works exactly, but the election opens December 1st.
Perfect. So we'll start looking for things in December. Now let's talk about this racing action that we've got going on. Obviously, how closely have you been following, obviously, Ironman and Hoosier, 2 stops here on the GNCC circuit. Yep. We've got an amazing racetrack this weekend and some great racing going on right now.
It sure is. I was out in the field there watching the race before this, and man, the track is really great today. Even though it's dry, it's not that dusty. It looks really good. This will be my 14th or 15th GNCC I've been here for. I've been to all of the motocross nationals here, and I referee all of the amateur events here. So I'm pretty closely tied to this place in a lot of ways, and enjoy working with all the people in MX Sports and Racer Productions. They're really great people to work with.
Fantastic. And you can touch, obviously being here, 14 different events. This has continued event after event to grow. Possibly record-breaking numbers this weekend. We've got fans lined over the fence all over the place. Record number of racers. GNCC is looking mighty healthy right now.
GNCC is doing great. This race just grows every year. Like I say, I've been coming for many years, and every year seems to be a record anymore.
Well, Gary, we appreciate you hanging out with us here in the booth. One more time, December 1st is when elections open. open up, correct?
Correct, and runs through January 15th.
And that the position you're running for, just to remind everybody?
The position I'm running for is North Central Region Director.
All right, well, that is Gary Pontius. We're going to be on the lookout for those election opportunities, and all of the regional AMA members get out there and vote for somebody that's not only been there, done that, but a fellow racer himself, right?
You bet.
Without a doubt. Well, thank you for your
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone.
So
all right, we got a little bit more action on screen, and nothing has mixed up. Still out front, it is the number 178 of Lyndon Snodgrass on that Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Kawasaki, and pushing the pace, continuing to try to stretch it out over the number 1 Rockstar Energy Racing Husqvarna of Craig DeLong, but DeLong in hot pursuit, and we've got an absolute barn burner up front. These guys are fighting for position, fighting for vision, and just trying to do everything that they can to try to, oh, look at this, Snodgrass now out onto the motocross track from our Yamaha Racing Live drone, working his way towards what will be our pro pits here today. A little departure from the track from yesterday, from the ATV day, and also this morning. So the first time that these riders have run this section, they're going to come through. Don't anticipate seeing any extended pit stops this time through. Looks like he did grab some hydration, and still leading the way. What a way to start off the race here for Lyndon Snodgrass.
Well, man, the celebrities, they just keep rolling through. Here in the Racer TV booth, we've got Ingo Parts, the FIM MX race director, hanging out with us here. And not only is he just enjoying the GNCC racing action, doing a little bit of inspecting for next year's Motocross of Nations. Ingo, tell us a little bit about what you're looking for.
Yeah, that's correct. I was more or less invited by Mike Pelletier, or encouraged to come over here and to combine, to make a visit on the motocross track, to combine it with this event, which is absolutely great. So I'm amazed by the hospitality of Tim Cotter and also Jeff Canfield, the AMA, who put me through this weekend, and really impressive what I could see here.
Now, is this the first GNCC for you?
Absolutely, yes.
A little bit of a different environment to the pro motocross scene, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a little bit, how to say, more kind of enduro stuff, if you want so. I mean, not classical enduro, but the way it nowadays works. Very first time to see that. We did similar things as well in Austria, where I come from, and Europe especially. But main focus was to see the GP track, or the Motocross of Nations track, where we will come and hit the venue the first weekend of next year then.
It's going to be super exciting. I know I'm already looking forward to it. It's circled on my calendar,
yes.
And it's a beautiful facility for it as
Absolutely.
well. No surprise you guys picked to bring it here.
Yeah. Now, the calendar is made by Infront, by the AMA, but also by the organizer, obviously. And I think pretty happy that all the parties could find this venue, which is absolutely impressive. So I have been to several racetracks in the US, but quite impressive, I would say.
Well, Ingo, thank you for your time. We appreciate
Thank you very much.
Stopping by, and
thank you.
Enjoy the rest of the GNCC race in action.
Thank you.
And impressive, not only the facility, but also the fans. I mean, the Ironman fans that come out here for the Ironman GNCC, starting all the way back from 1995. They've come out in droves for the Ironman MX races, and now they will have the opportunity in 2025 to come here for the Motocross of Nations, the biggest international motocross competition in the world each year, pitting the best riders from each country against each other. Folks, if you're an Ironman faithful, if you come out here for the Ironman GNCC and you don't come out here for the Motocross of Nations, shame on you, because it is going to be a race, it is going to be an event, it is going to be, we won't say a party, but it'll be a happening, and it is going to be top-notch like everything we do here at the Ironman MX facility. And I'm already trying to lobby for a good camping spot.
Oh, wow.
I said, hey, I don't care what it costs. I don't know what I need to do. Fill out my form. Take my money. I'm coming, baby.
I'm going over to Ironman Hill and getting a tent popped up over there.
I got a pop-up tent in Mikey Wayne's backyard. I think that's probably, I could probably walk to the track from
That'll be Lot B.
That is probably Lot B. Yeah, there are definitely going to be some happenings out over there. But like you said, I was fortunate enough to go to the Motocross of Nations at Red Bud in 2018. My father was at Budds Creek in 07. I mean, to say that it is pretty much the biggest crowd you'll ever see at this kind of event, it just blows my mind. We've got a sea of people here this weekend, and I wouldn't be surprised to see just as many, if not more, come next year. So definitely going to be exciting. But what is exciting right now is the racing action that we've got on course.
Yeah, and right now it's just been Lyndon Snodgrass leading the way, just super smooth, hitting his marks. We did see him get a little squirrely there coming out into that one cornfield, but he's looking good. as I alluded to before we did, our roll through of our special guests here, we don't exactly know, at least the masses don't know. Maybe Lyndon knows where he's landing for 2025. What we have heard is likely, it seems, no return of the Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Kawasaki team for 2025. So is he riding for another team? We don't know, but what we know is if this is his last go-around with this team, what better way to do it than to be out front leading, potentially notch his first GNCC win here today. What a way it would be for him to really show the power of that team and also show his abilities as a rider.
Well, and we talk about the various storylines as you see your leader on screen right there, Lyndon Snodgrass. Obviously, I'm sure would love to be a little bit further up in the points, has had some bad races, some bad luck, but momentum is definitely still something that can be gained here at the final round of the season. Like we said, a lot of question marks surrounding where Lyndon's going to be for next year. What better way to make a statement than by to go out and grab a win? Craig DeLong doing a great job as well.
Change up for the number 3 spot. Look at that. All the way back in 5th earlier in the lap. Now Liam Draper has worked his way around the 282 Wachowski and is up to the 3rd place spot. So the rider on the move, the 198, that Ampro Yamaha of Liam Draper.
So be on the lookout for that, the 198 moving forward. And that was Mike Wachowski that he did get around, and it looks like that's Trevor Bollinger now. Evan Smith making his way through as well. And you're seeing a lot of these riders kind of just hovering from completely burying the bike in that silt. Obviously want to try to keep the airboxes clean. Stu Baylor making some moves forward as well.
Yeah, he's didn't have a good start. If you were watching there, we said he wasn't as far up. I was actually, didn't see if we caught it on camera, but his bike actually didn't look like it fired. He was a good ways behind. Was trying to make some moves in the first couple corners, but he's definitely made some passes here now, and he's getting a little closer up to the front. We mentioned Mike Wachowski. He's a local Indiana product here, a gentleman that grew up racing here in Indiana. He's, this has got to feel like home for him, and it really has been a good, solid middle part of the season for him with a lot of top finishes. I think we had actually an opportunity to speak with Mike Wachowski before this one got started here today.
Yeah, Ironman's my favorite for sure. The crowd that comes in for that event is unreal, and it's something kind of we don't see in the middle of the season. Like, it's good to have obviously my whole family come in and watch and cheer me on, and the soil there is shapes. It's such a soft soil. It shapes up to get really rough and square edgy and rutted, and obviously we have Ironman Hill is spectacular. Like it's iconic. It's been on the track history for years now. So everyone knows Ironman Hill, and it's something very sentimental. So Ironman Hill, like for a rider's perspective, it's definitely unique because you got fans on each side. So you drop in off the little rock jump thing into the creek, and then you basically go straight up the hill. But you got the fans like literally up on the hilltop, you at the bottom, you can hear them, which is very, very cool. And for us riders, like it's motivating to hear that and kind of cheer us on. Yeah, I think for Ironman, it's very special because it's the last race of the season. Everyone's like obviously had a long year, and they're just ready to go out with a good result and have a good time with their GNCC family. So it's special for everyone. It's definitely it's around Halloween, so everyone does something for Halloween and usually have some cool activities going. But yeah, it's a big fallish festival, and makes it fun for everyone.
And good to hear from Mike Wachowski there. And as you see it on the screen, Ironman Hill. Boys, you heard it from Mike Wachowski. That's the place to be. I'm going to go head down that way now and see if we can get some shots.
All right, Jackson, we're going to look for you mixed in with the crowd at the Ironman Hill there. The Ironman Hill people are truly a breed of their own. Jackson Burrell going to go down there and get right in the mix with them and bring us the action.
Hey, they say the hills have eyes. Well, it's going to have a voice here soon. Jackson Burrell headed down, going to get us the scoop. And as you can see, the Mud Fleas not scared. They're bracing trees, doing whatever they've got to do to be able to stand on. And any second, if their favorite rider needs help, boom, there they are. And boom, there is your leader, Lyndon Snodgrass, making his way up here at the FMF PowerPoint.
And this is another one of the Ironman Hills, not Ironman Hill, but a little further ahead in the track. Looked like Craig DeLong around the outside there. And looking back, here is your now third place rider, the 198 Liam Draper there. And he has made his way around the 282 Witkowski. Great interview from him there. You know, like I said, you can see Liberty, Indiana, not too far from here. That's home for him. So, you know, he's got, as he pointed out, his family here, friends, and probably a lot of these fans out in the woods are Mike Witkowski fans, if I had to venture to guess.
Yeah, I think a lot of these fans are just GNCC fans. Whoever's riding by him, they're cheering for him, and it definitely helps push the riders on. You know, Mike even touched on it. We've had some Halloween celebrations. I believe that was Evan Smith making his way by. I saw a couple of riders, or a couple of kids dressed up as some of their favorite riders. Some Ricky Towery, mini Rickies walking around as well. Dracula was there. UFOs flying in to catch the racing action. And now looking at the number one, Craig DeLong.
There we see Lyndon Snodgrass is still ahead of him there. Yep. Still a little comfortable lead. Yep. Craig not quite able to get close enough to put any physical pressure on, but he is definitely close enough to see Snodgrass through all these chicanes. And then the gap back to Liam Draper just a little bit larger. So Draper needing to pick it up to get up to push there to get close to the front, start battling wheel to wheel with those guys. But we've talked about it quite a bit. The dust, a big factor here today. Can you get close enough to make a move in the section of the track where you have good vision, or do you get pushed back once you hit that silty powder?
The dust, the crowds, the course, plenty of variables to end the season, but that's just the way we like it here at the Ironman Racing GNCC. Right now, though, it is this guy, Lyndon Snodgrass, out front, handling business, handling the pressure well. Is he going to be able to hang on to it, or will Craig DeLong, maybe Liam Draper, track him down and steal the win away? We're going to get word from our sponsors, and we'll be back to more racing here from the Yamaha Ironman GNCC.
Unleash aggression, reliability, and premium quality with Kenda tires. Delivering exceptional performance on all types of vehicles. Automotive, ATVs, UTVs, motorcycles, bicycles, trailers, lawn and garden, and even golf. Trust Kenda tires to guide you on your next adventure. Kenda, designed for your journey.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best inside their engine. Cometic Gaskets are always constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environments. Whether it's a championship on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts alike depend on Cometic. Cometic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Yamaha Racing Ironman GNCC, an onboard look from OPAG as to what it's like making your way up one of the Ironman hills. Getting a little chance to preview the course before the pros take to it. And OPAG keeping a pretty good pace. I'll give credit where credit is due. Definitely faster than I could get up there. So
questionable line selection at the top of that. But other than that, the pace is great. But OPAG, we're going to need to see a little better line selection. It was just, you should have gone right there. You jogged left, but we've all been there.
We're going to get him in that Johnny G school. Maybe we'll get him on a quad. We had Villapoto, had Bradshaw, maybe OPAG on a four-wheeler by the time it's all said and done. But this This was the scene last night, the Monster Energy Concert Series. Blake Redfarron, we got to hang out with him a little bit on Racer TV yesterday. Well, this is what he does best.
Nuts.
He's putting on a show out there for all of the Ironman fans. I think, hands down, the biggest Ironman Saturday night concert crowd we've seen.
Yeah, it was substantial, that's for sure. And looked at it, when you saw it on social media, it kind of put it in perspective just how enormous that was.
Yeah, a lot of people, and everybody was having a great time. You know, the place was packed, and obviously the main concert venue in the middle, a ton of people, but even as you kind of worked your way towards the edges, it was just wall-to-wall people.
Well, we had a party last night. We're going to have a party later in December at the Kalahari Resorts there in Sandusky, Ohio for our, new location for the GNCC Night of Champions. Mikey, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to present the awards at the water park, but we're still going to get plenty of time out there. Going to be a ton of fun.
We got to have a surfing competition.
I don't think that's a good idea, but I'll still do it.
I'm in.
I'm out.
Johnny said I'm out.
I have no ACLs, and I would like to keep the ones I don't have.
My heart says yes, but my knees say no.
Oh my goodness!
My mind's telling
it would
me
just
no.
be a montage of us all failing immediately.
Yeah. Definitely going to be a special night. But before we get celebrating champions, we got to celebrate some wins here at the Ironman GNCC. And this guy is trying to be the one we're celebrating. Lyndon Snodgrass working his way.
Long is close.
The number one, definitely closing that gap up just a little bit. Liam Draper kind of quietly hanging back there in third, keeping them within in eyesight, but definitely not able to track them down quite yet.
Yeah, he's close. You can see him there. It needs to get a little closer to get to the point where he can strike, try to make a pass. But Mike Wachowski still hanging tough there in the number 4 spot. And then as we watch those 4 come by, I'll give you a rundown of the top 10 overall as they checked in with 2 laps complete, 1 lap complete. I'm trying to get ahead of myself. Yeah. Lyndon Snodgrass, Craig DeLong, Mike Wachowski, Liam Draper. We knew that now that Wachowski and Draper have flip-flopped. But then in the 5th place spot, it's Toby Cleveland, your XC2 Pro Lights leader in that 5th place spot overall. And Thad Duvall only 5 seconds behind in the 6th place spot overall and second in that XC2 Pro Lights class. Then there's Trevor Bollinger, Evan Smith, Rui Barbosa, and Stu Baylor Jr. rounding out the top 10.
On cue, I think it was just Thad Duvall we saw.
And he's gotten around Toby.
Yep, and there's Toby.
Leader. Thad Duvall able to work his way around Toby Cleveland and is now out front in that XC2 Pro Lights class.
And Thad Duvall probably racing with pretty heavy heart. Saw on social media, said think this might be it for him. So, be interesting to see if he can hang on there. A pretty good way for him to go out. And what was an up and down career, man. Zach and Jackson came along a little late. Thad was a dog. I mean, he was an absolute dog back in the day. A lot of times was the only guy, Johnny, that had something for Caleb Russell on race day.
Yeah, and the funny part was that was kind of the second
true. That's a good point.
Thad's career. Thad was a standout amateur rider for the Ampro Yamaha team back in the day. Came up through, started off in the, won titles in that XC2 Pro Lights class, worked his way up to the XC1 class. Battled for wins, got some podiums, but just struggled so much with the consistency for so many years. And then, always had the speed, kind of had that resurgence with the KR4 Husqvarna team, came back and, was up in there battling the mix for wins and top 5s. And we're like, this is it. He's back. Worked his way all the way up to the factory Rockstar Husqvarna racing team. Was with them for many, many years. And then did a stint with, obviously, Gas. Now with the Red Bear Rocky Mountain ATV MC Kawasaki team. And Heavy Art saying this might be his last go-round. One thing I can say, if this is the last that we see of Thad in a professional racing full-time capacity, he's had a great career.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing, it will not be the last we see of Thad or the
Duvall family.
Not at all. I was about to say.
They're ingrained in this.
Jacoby's ready to roll.
Jacoby's on his way. I was about to say.
They'll be here for the youth races, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see Thad still out there. Oh, look at this. Jackson Burrell was calling it, saying he thinks today is the day that Stu Baylor was going to get the win. Not looking like it's going to be the case. Having some trouble. They're trying to bump start that Rocky Mountain Red Bear ATV MC machine and not able to get it fired. That may be the end of the day for Stu Baylor here at round 13.
Man, that is definitely not the way that he was wanting to end the season. Looks like a couple of other team members trying to help out as well. That's a pretty cool sight right there. There's multiple different teams, multiple people trying to help out. That's what GNCC Racing's all about. It looked like they got it fired up there at the end. I couldn't quite tell. I thought I saw it put away a little bit under its own power, but
he's riding it. But looks like he's still going to call it good, going to ride it back to the pits. That was actually Bill Davis, Grant's dad, in the KTM shirt, and one of the other KTM crew members that went over to lend a hand. And what we see on screen is a battle, and it may be Liam Draper up to the rear wheel of Craig DeLong. So a couple of the Waynesburg crew, these guys ride together during the week, and now Draper putting heavy pressure on the back of Craig DeLong, trying to wrestle away that number 2 spot with Lyndon Snodgrass just off of the distance. Look at that. Draper took a look over his shoulder saying, anybody back there? Because that was sketchy. So I'm going to let off a little bit.
Man, yeah, definitely a hang on for it moment. But you got to think, we talked about it a little bit in the beginning, DeLong coming back from some injury, honestly just wanted to be able to get the bike back out there, run this final round. But eventually, I'm sure that thing's going to start to get tough, start to get sore, and the grip strength probably going to start to go away a little bit as well. So curious to see how quickly or how long it takes for DeLong. Ooh, 2 different lines it looked like there. Oh no, it must have been a lap rider. For a second I thought DeLong might have pulled over, but definitely very curious to see how much of a fight we're going to get out of the number 1. And they definitely stretched out a little bit between that little short chute of woods. DeLong able to stretch the gap back out.
Well, to that point, you know, when you get into the woods where the dust is hanging, like, it's more powdery, silty, and thicker out in the fields, but you can see that wind immediately blows it away. When you get into the woods, the dust doesn't really go anywhere, so it's a lot harder in certain sections to follow in the woods than it is out in the fields. Look at that. You can see Liam Draper actually has clear vision right there until he gets to about there, where the wind is kind of blowing head on at him. Then it starts to be limited visibility, but yeah, it's right now you can see Draper getting real antsy, wanting to try to make a move on his good buddy Craig DeLong, but DeLong probably looking back at him saying, listen, Junior, you might have got that XC2 title last year, but I'm the XC1 champ. This is my last race for now with that big number 1. I'm going to make you work for it, buddy.
Yeah, it's interesting, like to Zach's point, you know, he's coming off the injury, see where he stacks up today. Johnny, I got to think, like, lining up XC1 Pro, you've got that number 1 plate. That's probably weighing a little heavy on Craig right now of like, man, the season didn't really go how I wanted it to go. I got to come out and perform. I'm going to ignore the injury, and maybe the recovery, and that rider and that competitor in him kind of takes over today.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll see. I mean, 3 hours.
I think it's an opportunity for him to, you know, kind of end 2024, which has been not great.
Yeah.
With a bang, whether it be a win, a podium, or just a good solid ride. But Craig's also a pretty smart guy, and I think if he gets to the point where he feels like he's not able to hang on and run the pace safely, I think we'll see him maybe back down a little bit. Right now, it looks like he's starting to, you know, run the heart rate up a bit, but he still looks comfortable, so I think he'll hang in there and keep fighting.
The rider behind him, Liam Draper, I was just taking a look at our results, been incredibly consistent so far in his XC1 debut. Podiums each time, a third, a second, and a third. And I told him on the podium the last time, I was like, all right, we checked third, we checked second, there's 1 spot left. And taking a look at him on the start, I think he's got that dog in him, as we like to say.
When we were down on this, you know, delayed start, so we're down there, of course, we're talking, hey, who's going to win today? And boy, the general consensus was all around the 198. Just kind of felt like a day for him. Coming off a birthday, he's had the success in the XC1, and there's the sight. This sucks. This has also kind of been a storyline for Stu this year. Some more ups and downs for him, and like, you hate to see it. And like, honestly, Stu looks a little defeated right now.
Yeah, it's man, I hate to see this for any racer. And Stu is a competitor. You know, he wants to win these races. He wants to win this championship, and he's said it so many times, which obviously the championship was decided, you know, a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
That said, you know, if you're Stu Baylor, you're obviously going to come in this weekend. The National Enduro title, which he was also racing for, also slipped away from him this year. Josh Toth taking that one home. So it's really just 2 races left for him this weekend, and then 1 National Enduro left. So he's wanting to get a win, and that's now gone. He didn't really get a chance to battle up there today. Yeah, man, I don't know. I don't want to speak for Stu, but you almost got to go home, and I think we're going to see a guy go check out, spend a lot of time in a deer stand, and try to reevaluate life's priorities.
Another little Baylor coming, too. Yeah, so.
Yeah, but the battle now is still on, and it's still Liam Draper, the aggressor. Craig DeLong still holding strong, though, holding him off there, and they have not given up a lot of time to the 178 of Snodgrass. But those 3 right now, the ones making the dust and everybody else behind, just having to eat it.
But you bring up a good point. They're still maintaining that gap behind Snodgrass and just far enough to where they're not eating a full face of dust. Still probably catching just a little bit of it, but they're able to keep Snodgrass in sight. And I think both Liam Draper and Craig Long are smart enough to where I almost feel like if they realize, hey, Snodgrass is getting away, let's save this battle for a little bit, catch back up, that they'd be capable of doing that. But Snodgrass right now says, you guys fight all over second place as much as you want. I'm trying to check out and bring home the final win of the season.
Yeah, and it's working out for him right now. But I think, like you said, those guys are they're good buddies. They're not block passing each other and trying to blow each other off the track. They're just racing hard, and they're not losing a ton of time to Snodgrass. But Snodgrass wants to see these guys going toe-to-toe and, tooth and nail, because he wants to see them both laying on the ground so he can open up an even bigger gap. But right now, it's they're staying pretty consistent, both of the top three, or all three of the top three up front.
And we've seen a couple of flashes late in the season from Lyndon Snodgrass where he's been able to be up front, and then, whether it be a crash, a bike issue, something, it kind of takes him out to where when you look at the results at the end of the day, it doesn't show the full scope of the picture. But especially seems like that second half of the season when he returned to racing, he really had a fire underneath him, possibly because of the uncertainty of the future, where he's going to go, who he's going to be riding for. But, man, he's really shown that, hey, I've still got something to prove, and I still deserve to be up among the best. Well,
and remember, this is a former XC2 national champion, so this guy knows how to ride. He knows exactly what it takes to win races and to run up front. I'm not surprised to see him up here. If anything, I was surprised it took so long this year to see him up there consistently. He's definitely got the talent. He looks really comfortable today, and I think he's going to prove to be a tough competitor for these guys. I don't think he's going to make it easy on any of these riders behind him. I think he wants to win this race today. Everybody wants to win, but it looks like he wants a little extra today.
Yeah, I think, and Snodgrass, tell me if I'm absolutely off the mark, Johnny, but strikes me as that guy that he has all the right tools. It's just that matter of harnessing all of them and knowing when to go 110 miles an hour and really send it. Sometimes maybe not riding over his head, for lack of a better term, but he's got to find a way to just harness that injury. Almost endurance, I guess, kind of like Bryson Neal on the ATV side was several years ago.
Yeah, to me, Lyndon Snodgrass is a bit of a enigma. I don't know him that well. Yeah. I watch him ride. I'm in awe of his abilities, obviously. But to see what I know from seeing him on a national or international stage over the years at the ISDE, and then seeing him come to the States and knowing how good of a sprinter he was, obviously he's just continued to improve in GNCC in this format of racing, and we know he's a competitor. But I think he would be the one that knows what exactly it is in his program that's lacking, that to allow him to do it week in, week out. But man, when he's on like he is today, he's incredibly tough to beat and also very fun to watch.
Yeah.
Well, and I think, honestly, we saw that little, I don't even know you want to call it a mistake, but he went, flying through the air and then kind of landed into a big, thick silt puddle almost, and just about went for a ride he was not looking forward to. And so maybe we're looking at a 95% right now. You know what I mean? And I think that was almost exactly what it needed, where he's like, hey, I'm out front. I do have a little bit of a gap. Let's not toss this away. If I'm going to get beat, I want to get past. I don't want to crash this out.
Yeah, and sometimes the hardest thing to do is ride within yourself when you have so much pressure. But I think he's spent some time at the front of the pack here in the last several races. He knows what it takes. And any racer who has the kind of credentials and experience that Lyndon has knows that on a day like today, man, that dust behind you is almost like a little force field. It makes it tougher for those guys to get close.
That's a good example of it right there.
Yeah, it's hard to see from the camera, like, oh, it doesn't look that bad. A lot of times, these guys can't even see him in front of them. Even though they know he's right there, they can hear the bike, they see him in certain sections of the track, and then poof, the silt pops up and he just kind of disappears. So hopefully he's using that to a little bit of his advantage. Maybe just, letting that back end hang out just a little bit of extra clutch work, and making a little extra dust, making it harder for those guys behind him to see.
Well, to your point, this Yamaha Racing Live Drone does a great job of showing us how crucial it is to stay out of the dust and how much these riders know it. You just saw Liam Draper pretty much wherever Craig DeLong was not, that's where Liam was going, staying out of that main dust line, not eating it. And then you could also see, wasn't quite charging into those corners as hard as we'd see him in a clear track. He maybe couldn't see exactly where he was going, didn't want any unplanned surprises, and so just having to check up a little bit here, a 10th there, a 10th here, and it opens up to a couple of bike length gap that we're seeing right now.
Yeah, and another thing with that charging into the berms, I think we're right on the verge of one of those races where we start talking about, the Will they have to change filters? Are they going to have to, are we going to have bike problems with the bikes themselves breathing? The more you come in and tend to what we call blow out those berms, really bury it into the silt, get deep into the throttle, start clutching it, you're just kicking up more dust, and the machine is just kind of basically sucking in that silt, and it makes it so much harder for the engine to breathe. Once that filter gets clogged up, the bike just doesn't run right. You can hear them coughing, sputtering. It affects fuel economy, a whole different thing, so we'll end up coming and changing that air filter to go back out with the fresh filter. I don't know that today's quite dusty enough, but the way some of those silt berms are, if somebody gets real aggressive, it could become an issue.
I was curious when we saw Stu, it looked like he was getting ready to take the seat off. I was curious whether they were going to be looking in the airbox or anything like that, because obviously showing that the bike was able to refire, but to your point, the sputtering and stuff like that could be something that the riders, especially later in the race, start to look at. But right now, not worried about air filters. Landon Snodgrass.
No, and not worried about it. And another point, our producer Adam Gordon just brought up, what about pre-filters? A lot of these riders will run a dual stage or even a triple filter setup. So they'll have a filter skin or a pre-filter. Some cases it's foam, some cases it's a type of fabric, and that's typically a water repellent polymer that doesn't really allow the dust to get sucked into the foam of the filter to clog up the oiled filter itself. That said, sometimes it's a bit of a gambling game because you don't know the exact consistency of the dirt and the moisture when you get out there. Sometimes you want to have just a regular filter with like a pre-filter foam. Sometimes you want to have that skin. Sometimes you want to have an outerwears. So you'll see a lot of times before the race, these guys will go out and talk to racers that race in the morning, or even pull their seats, pull their side panels, look at the filters, and see what they look like before they make that decision. So I think most of these guys are likely to probably just go the whole 3 hours today without filter changes, but we'll watch when they come in for those fuel stops and see if anybody's popping off those seats and or side panels trying to do some filter changes.
Let's see it. Let's make it more gnarly. Let's add the element. I like it.
Taking a look at the quick little trip across the motocross track there. The GP
Very
track,
quick,
as our FIM friend called it. And, man, look at this guy walking a little stiff into the race.
Is that stiff or swagger?
I was about to say, I saw him stand up after the race. I know he's feeling it. We'll get him on the mic here just in a little bit. But right now, looking at your leader, Landon Snodgrass, making his way through the pits. Looks like he grabbed a little bit of hydration.
Yeah, 2 laps in a row, a water bottle for Landon Snodgrass. So he's trying to stay on top of the hydration today, not wanting to wait until he starts to feel like he's needing something to drink, just taking a little maintenance drink each lap through the pits. There is Craig DeLong. There is Liam Draper. Hydration for both of those guys as well. 2 good buddies. They might ride together during the week, but right now, Liam Draper is saying, hey, Craig, I need to get by you. I want to get to the front. And Craig's saying, buddy, stay back there. I got this. You just hang there in the 3rd place spot for a while.
Do you think we're seeing a full sense of urgency from Liam? Do you think it's full push trying to get around, or do you think he's content with the pace, especially since they can still see Lyndon a little bit up ahead?
Yeah, I don't see anything in his riding that leads me to believe he's panicking or in a full-out push. I think Lyndon's starting to open up a little bit of gap, so we may see a little more push from Liam if he has it. But I think Craig's doing a good job right now himself of managing that gap, and I think they're both pretty okay with where they're at. Now Ben Kelly coming through, the sole rider for that FMF Red Bull KTM team this weekend. His teammate, Johnny Gerard, and our current will be our 2025 #1 plate holder, our 2024 champion, Johnny Gerard, home, waiting for a new addition to the Gerard family. Probably watching us on Racer TV, I would imagine.
Looked like, was that a split line option there? They could take either one of those? Or
yeah, so the mulch pile, you can either kind of do some chicanes to the left and come in, or there's some telephone poles and logs with mulch piled over them to the right. So it is an option. They're pretty comparable depending on how hard you hit each side. So it's maybe a passing opportunity late in the race.
The log jumps have Jordan Ashburn written all over it.
I actually wanted to point out Jordan Ashburn at the completion of lap #1, all the way back in the 17th place overall. Now, he wasn't that far back physically, but with the time correction, those XC2 guys are really jumping up in there. Ashburn won that I kind of expected to be up there in the mix for a win today, and I noticed the first time we saw him after the start, he was kind of buried back there. It is dusty, but I don't know, something just doesn't, to me, look similar to what we saw with Walker Fowler yesterday. Just doesn't look himself. Normally, Jordan Ashburn, very aggressive in the dust. Right now, he's just kind of sitting back there. Doesn't look like he's really able to even make any moves. He's just not quite able to get up in there and push the pace that he wants to, so he's kind of struggling a little bit right now. We'll see if he can get it together, work his way up, try to battle for a podium or potentially a win here as this one continues. We're only an hour in, still plenty of time left for him to get up in there and start making moves.
Well, and I'm not 100% sure because I couldn't see, but I thought I saw Jordan possibly look like he had gone down. Maybe I saw maybe some parts hanging off the bike. I'm not.
That's what Brock Glover was just saying.
Perfect.
Was
okay.
Doesn't think he's got a front number plate, so maybe a gnarly little get off for Ashburn. That would explain why he's back so far.
Kind of took me
and maybe struggling since.
Yeah, after he went by.
There is our XC2 leader, Thad Duvall. It looked like it might have been Toby Cleveland.
Yep.
Just behind him there, the number 2 rider in that XC2 Pro Lights class. But back to the front, and it is still the 178, Lyndon Snodgrass. You can see that dust really starting to thicken up out there.
Both of those XC2 riders, Thad, I was talking about, this may possibly be the end. But Toby Cleveland, another one, has had some good results, but has really needed Lady Luck to get back on his side over the course of this year. We've seen him have some big get-offs, not just here at GNCC, but some other races as well. So good to see him able to get a good start and put in a good performance so far in this round.
Thad Duvall currently 6th overall checked in with 2 laps complete now with the time correction. 6th overall, Thad Duvall. 7th overall, Toby Cleveland, both from that XC2 Pro Lights class. And then Cody Barnes running in the 9th place spot. So we've got 3 XC2 riders in the top 10 overall as they run right now.
An hour into it. It'll be 3 hours when it's all said and done. Decent start for those guys.
Great shot here from our Yamaha Racing live drone, seeing how wide some of these riders are getting, trying to move away from those silt berms. And this guy able to pretty much go wherever he wants, putting the Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Kawasaki to work. Checks in and checks out here at the camera shot at mile 1. Craig DeLong maybe losing just another bike length or 2 off of that, but it does look like he's also stretched it out a little bit over Liam Draper. So a response here from the number 1 says, you guys are worried about the pinky. That's the smallest finger. I'm
right.
fine, okay?
Yeah.
It also very possibly could be this particular section of the track. Thicker woods, the dust is more likely to hang, and limited visibility really becoming an issue in certain parts. And this is the part of the track where I'd most likely say it's going to be harder for these guys to follow closely.
Wachowski still running strong on that breast cancer awareness edition of the factory, or the Phoenix Racing Honda. Nice little white and pink design. And Evan Smith having a quietly successful race. I feel like there's been a lot of early portions of the race where we're like, man, Evan Smith's still up inside the top 5, still running strong.
Evan's one of those guys, kind of like we were talking yesterday with Stephen Harrell, of like 2025, I feel like Evan's a podium, is going to get his first podium next year. I can feel it coming for Evan.
I would agree.
Like he's doing all the right things, and he's been right on the cusp. Sounds like getting reports Grant Davis into the pits. He is on that 252 stroke here today, too. And it doesn't look like a mechanical.
Oh, no. Definitely not what we were wanting to see for Davis.
Grimacing, but not excruciating. Doesn't look easy for me to say sitting here staring at it, but at least he's hiding the pain fairly well. We'll have to see. Maybe we can get a word in with Grant Davis.
Yeah, that to me, looking like a leg injury, whether it be a knee, ankle, something like that. Didn't look like he was wanting to put weight on it, getting some help, getting his way around the pits there. Unfortunate. Really not ideal.
No.
He came in today, was just looking to have a little fun riding that 252 stroke.
Yeah.
And, not good. He had an opportunity to finish second place in the overall, which actually
may still, right?
Yeah, I mean, as they came into the day, he was ahead of Stu Baylor. Ashburn by 7 points. So Jordan Ashburn basically needing to score 8 points today. If he does that, which right now he wouldn't. He's currently in 17th place overall, but I think we'll see Ashburn move up. Actually, now Ashburn is, as he checked in, moved into the 12th place overall, which would be good for 9 points, meaning he would now regain the number 2. So definitely not ideal for Grant Davis. We'll hope it's nothing but a little dinger, and he's up, maybe just a twisted ankle.
Yeah. Hopefully. I believe Zach Herron trying to make his way down there, maybe get a word in with Grant Davis, or at least a KTM pit, see if we can get the scoop on that. And again, just a a historic ride for Grant Davis here this year out of that XC2 class. So be interesting to see how that one stacks up. So, or Johnny, I was going to say, you don't want to. Okay, I'm going to jump in here with Damon Bradshaw and RV, and you guys, you guys knocked a couple of wheels off today and went two-wheel racing. Give me 1 second on that, Adam. Yeah, so obviously, hey, historic day in GNCC, and we're watching a little bit more of that action here, joined by David Bradshaw and Ryan Villapoto in the booth. And fellas, okay, you got to race the four wheels yesterday. You knocked a couple wheels off today. Something maybe a little more familiar for you guys today.
It definitely was. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. You know, getting out there and getting to ride here at Ironman on I rode a 125X actually today, and it was good. Had four wheels yesterday, two wheels today. Bit of a different course, so that was a lot of fun. Dealt with a lot of dust. Dealt with pretty rough tracks. So I'm going to be honest. I don't think I've ever been this sore, but I've also never been this out of shape. So
that's fair.
Racing a dirt bike. So yeah, I'm looking for a hot tub and maybe a cocktail later.
Looking at a few of the highlights from this morning, I think it was 700 some riders in total. Absolutely insane for you guys. Damon, what was your take on it, man?
It was my best GNCC so far.
Let's go.
You know, I've ridden a couple of them before,
yeah.
And other than the start, me and Ryan thought we'd give Phil a head start because we didn't want to.
I noticed that. We wouldn't want to bring that up.
We didn't want to rough him up, and he's not here to take up for himself. But no, it was a good day. I mean, it's always a good day when you don't go home on a stretcher and you complete a race like this. It was super tough, super gnarly, and you know, we both basically rode showroom bikes today, so it's really cool. I mean, we had the intro on Friday, the 250X intro, and that's what we rode today. Other than Ryan choosing a 125, I'm not sure why he did that, but no, it just
had to show how good it was.
Man, that was beautiful.
Exactly. So, I mean, I was super happy with the bike, and thank all of the guys for because I decided last minute, so they're prepping bike last minute for me.
It looking good.
That was good times. I remember chasing this.
Did you guys make any wagers amongst yourselves? Like,
honestly, we didn't know really what to expect, right? Especially the way the starts are. It's not obviously a gate, right? So it's a flag start and something I'm not used to, and neither Damon or Phil or Marv. But you know, I think for us, it was the biggest thing is trying to kind of figure out how we're going to start. Obviously, we were both last off of the gate. I got my bike fired, and I told myself I need to let it actually get running, and then let the clutch out. Well, you can see we have video. I get on it, but I didn't let the bike fire up good enough, and it just jumps. But
operator error, though.
Yeah, operator error, totally.
Same with me, for sure.
Yeah, he was over there pushing the button, couldn't leave. So it was both of us back on the gate. But coming through the pack like that was definitely tough. Like these guys are Ironmans. You know, they're 3 hours. We just did 2 hours with the dust and the lap riders and the amount of time that they are on the seat. You know, like. Definitely have a newfound respect for GNCC.
What's wild, you know, you look at the 3 hour and we talk, you hear us in the broadcast talking all the time about lap traffic. That lap traffic in the afternoon race, these are A and B riders. Like, they're no slouches, right? And in the pro riders, you see them working their way around them like they're standing still. This is a shot of Ironman Hill. This puts it in perspective. That poor guy's in a banana suit trying to help him out. This is GNCC, boys. I love it. I think we have Jackson Burrell down there. Jackson, if you can hear me, man, we see what you're seeing, but take it away, dude.
Man, we are down here at the wild and wonderful Ironman Hill. First things first, Ironman Hill, let me hear you make some noise. Say hello to Racer TV. So there we go, boys. This is a good passing spot down here. They have an option right before the creek to jump into the creek off a rock ledge. Several different lines here today as far as the hill climb goes. The one thing about the hill climb, though, if you take these two right lanes, you are going to be going airborne at some point, and you guys know how treacherous that could be.
Jackson, we got him off there. I was going to see if he'd go help that poor guy in the banana suit. But, yeah, I mean, it just that puts it in perspective right there is just how gnarly it is. And, we talked, Caleb Russell, I think years ago, posted his heart rate 180, like average for those 3 hours. Doctors are like, yeah, there's no way. That's not humanly possible. You guys can attest to what it takes to be successful.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's hours and hours on the motorcycle. It's hours in the gym and the road bike and just trying to stay fit. This is a little bit obviously different than Supercross, motocross because of the longevity of how long they're on the motorcycle. But yeah, heart rates are super high. Just like I said, coming off. I've never been this sore before, but I've also never been this unfit while racing 2 hours. So it's just it's a new experience. I had a blast doing it, man. I in a perfect world, it would have rained about 3 inches a week ago, or 3-4 days ago, right?
We could have used it.
I was telling him after the race, I said, we did pretty good with the preparation we put in before this.
Yeah.
I won't say what he said, but it was not a lot of preparation for this race. So I didn't know, I didn't think I could make 2 laps, much less making all 4 really for me. But yeah, cool accomplishment.
What other GNC, Florida, right?
No,
it wasn't Florida. You got out of Florida. I remember that one, maybe 2017. That's been a few years back.
Way long time ago, I chased one. Just to follow up. And then I went to Coker and Steel Creek.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so South Carolina, North Carolina. Coker, there are our leaders. Ooh, and now that is Craig DeLong all over Lyndon Snodgrass. So Lyndon Snodgrass looked like he still was able to get up there just before DeLong. So leaders coming through. How did you feel about Coker? A little more sand. That's we call it the melting pot because it's got so much different terrain there in South Carolina, the clay, the sand, everything.
Super gnarly. I don't think today was super easy. I mean, the poof dirt and then the fields even got super rough, and I can't imagine at the end of this 3-hour race what the rest of the track looks like. But I always like to say it's not for everybody. Somebody was saying earlier, why was there not more pro riders? I go, I don't think there's many people in the country that really want to go take this beating, man.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I did some pro moto this year doing the live call at the tracks, and a lot of the guys were like, I really want to run one. I can't right now, but maybe when I retire. I'm like, okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, well, you better be prepared.
Good.
On all levels.
Good. They saw you guys do it now. Now they're probably getting DMs. Is anybody all right, how was it? Should I run one?
Oh, we'll see when our phones work when we get out.
Okay, that's fair.
Too many people for the phones to work.
You got to ask Tim Cotter for the Wi-Fi password. That's the key right there. So watching our leaders, got a good one now. Lyndon Snodgrass still leading the way. Yeah, green bike out front. DeLong in pursuit there in the 2 spot. And sounds like Zach Heron standing by, maybe in the pits with Marvin Muscan.
Hey, yeah, we've got Ryan Villapoto and Damon Bradshaw in the booth walking through the pits. You never know who you're going to see at GNCC. Marvin Muscan not only hanging out watching, but getting out and enjoying the racing a little bit. I know we had to end it a little sooner than we wanted, but take us through your experience racing GNCC.
Yeah, first of all, I'm super pumped to be here. I had a great time yesterday hanging out, and today racing. I checked out the start yesterday. It was unreal, and to be lining up today was definitely something else, something that I never experiment. So I'm glad I did it. Unfortunately, I didn't finish my very first GNCC race. I wish I could finish. I had a little tip over. It was very dusty, and I didn't see a route or something, and definitely a learning experience. I'm really glad I did it. Thanks to KTM for getting me here. Without them, I don't think I'll be here.
So maybe we're going to have to get a little redemption and come back for another one, right?
I think so. I would have to finish a GNCC race one day, but it's cool. Today we get to hang out, watch the pro, and I'm curious to see the pit stops too, so I didn't get to do one.
Hey, well, we're going to let you get back to it. Thanks for coming out and racing with us. Marvin Muscat enjoying Ironman GNCC.
Thank you for that, Zach. That's a good point. You guys got to pit today, yeah?
Yes. Yeah.
No quick fill, nothing?
He did not.
You didn't pit. Okay, but you did.
Yes, I had to pit. So came in, switched goggles, got a swig of water, filled the bike up with fuel, and then took off. And actually, the section that Marv ended up crashing in, I came around him.
Oh, is he going to make it inside?
No, those berms are so powdery. My 125 would barely get out of them.
That's nuts.
But yeah, I came up on Marvin. I stopped and I said, "You good? You good?" And he was a little bit like, "Oh, my leg." Yeah, I think he smacked a tree.
So right now, DeLong throwing everything but the kitchen sink at Snodgrass. Snodgrass doing some good defensive riding there to hold them off as they duck back into the woods. We've lost some leaves, but still not quite enough vision see him pop out on this other side. Is going to be the 178 or is going to be the long? And still Snodgrass out in front. And really not too far back from him, at least a moment ago. I think it was the 198 of Liam Draper, and I think that's Draper right there dipping back into the woods. So good one out front. DeLong obviously rocking that number 1 plate, 2023 champ, trying to end the season on a high note. These guys hauling the mail right now.
That's good footage. It's neat to be able to watch the racing like that.
Yeah, drone, that Yamaha Racing Live drone certainly changed the game for us, that is for sure. And these guys still continuing in hot pursuit. Ooh, little checkup right there with some of the lap traffic. How was that? Were lappers kind to you guys? Did you have to get on the throttle a little bit, say a few things?
My last lap, I don't know who it was. I think she was on a Cowie. It might have been, I don't know who. I don't know who she was, but she was on the gas on the rev limiter, and everybody was just peeling out of the way. You know,
may have been if at number 1, that was Rachel Archer.
Might have been, yes, on a Cowie, and I was able to latch on to her and have her. She was on the rev limiter. Everybody was just peeling out of the way.
Probably
and I just stuck right to her, and so that was nice. It actually really helped me because I was about to. Not throw the towel in, but just limp her on in, and that gave me something to chase after because I was kind of riding around in no man's. But yeah, the lappers were lap 3 and 4 for us were pretty bad, especially in the one line stuff, and not being able, being the first one is you really got to pick your lines obviously properly. And there was some by lap 2 and 3 there was some. And 4, there was more lines that developed all of a sudden, where the track got a little bit wider and still single track, but more options and just not being used to it. I was just still in the same main line, so I was able to follow her, and that helped me out a ton.
There you got lappers kicking up a little dust. We'll add an element for those guys. Snodgrass gets a little bit of breathing room, and oh man, DeLong really going to have to eat some dust through there and kind of allows Liam to trickle up just a bit. He works around the lap traffic now, ducks back into the woods. Just over, hour and a half into it. So approaching that halfway point.
It's halfway now
for these guys. Is that probably the biggest question is, what's it? Is it the length? Is it the terrain? Like, what's kind of the biggest apples and oranges versus this to compared to moto?
Definitely the length.
The length, okay.
Yeah, like not really knowing how you're going to feel at an hour. How you know what I mean? It's like, when's your body going to say, okay, that's enough? For us, not super prepared and not going and riding a ton of this to really know what to expect. I super surprised myself with being able to finish, and so with Ryan. I mean, we ride a lot, but we ride a lot on the road. Yeah. We don't get a chance, or for myself, but I'd like to thank Yamaha for putting this whole deal together. I mean, for the media to come and us to have the intro. And then today, I don't know how many guys we had racing, but we had a lot of bikes.
Yeah, we basically had all media that we brought out for Friday.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
They were all out to race. And by lap 2, I was like, okay, an hour, I'm good.
Happy.
Feel it. Body's starting to feel it. And then it's like, you got 2 more.
Yep.
Yeah. When I saw the white flag, I didn't think it was white flag lap, but I was happy to see it. I'm like, oh, wow, made it this far. But and again, the crowd, I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, I'm sure Ryan as well, but it was pretty neat to see guys along the track that recognized it was cheering us on, and GNCC fans are like no other.
Oh, yeah.
I would compare them to like Unadilla fans back in the day.
That's beautiful. That's high praise.
So, yeah, it's not just the race, but it's the whole experience. You see how many people are here, and the vendors and just everything that goes along with the GNCC. And, thanks to you guys for having us. And, it's been a good weekend. We're going home on the airplane tomorrow. And
nice.
Damon's going to have to roll me out of bed in the morning.
Hey, St. Elmo's tonight, though, right?
Oh,
Did you guys hit St. Elmo's?
We're going to hit urgent care on the way home. And
that makes more sense.
Be ready.
That's fair. Yeah, St. Elmo. This is home for me, so very
St.
familiar.
Elmo's, get you hot shrimp.
That's it. Get the shrimp.
Cocktail
That's it.
sauce.
That's where it's at. That's the spot.
Burn them nose hairs right at it.
Absolutely. We had one of our pro riders a few years back. He went with me to St. Elmo's. By the way, it is Thad Duvall right there having a sensational ride. Went with us. He said, I'm going to eat this whole thing, and Toby Cleveland right behind him, of the cocktail sauce. Oh. And I go, bro, don't do that. Don't do that. And he cried, and he was drooling. I'm like, I told you.
It's kind of like eating a big ball of wasabi.
It's rough. It's brutal. It's good on the shrimp, though. Just saying.
It's the best.
There's your free plug, St. Elmo's.
Yeah.
So Lennon Snodgrass and Craig DeLong having an absolute dogfight right now. Draper back there looking for some opportunity, and Wachowski not too far out of it. And we saw Evan Smith and Duvall with Toby Cleveland right on his rear wheel. So what's next for you guys? Minios, heading down to Minios next month? Come on, boys.
I leave in a few days for Baja 1000. So
okay, all right. Yep.
Start pre-run on the 8th, and yeah, it's going to be a long next couple of weeks, and then I'll head east for a ride day in Florida towards the end of the year.
Nice.
Yeah, for me, I have a day in the dirt out there at Glen Helen. Fast House puts on that.
Yep.
So I think that's over Thanksgiving. So that's my last of the year for an event, and then a little bit of downtime, and then we'll kind of start up late spring with travel back with Yamaha and things.
Nice. I'm sure we'll be going to Supercross. Supercross.
That too.
That's going to happen early.
That'll be here before you know it. Yeah.
Exactly. January, I think 11th or 7th, 11th. Yeah.
You got your hotel rooms reserved for donations next year, right?
Well, so I don't. Well, Monster always does.
There you go.
We'll be good there.
Be covered.
I was actually thinking about maybe driving the motorhome out.
Let's go.
And
hang out,
and doing it the right way.
Which lot are you going to park in?
I'm going to be right up front, hopefully.
That's it.
Come on, Davey.
I live 10 minutes from here, and I've already told my wife we're getting a camper, and we're just camping here for the week.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You can always go home and take a hot
Exactly.
shower.
Yeah, don't tell them where you're going to take the camper.
No, absolutely not. So, a big topic as we look at the trees and the changing of the leaves. GNCC, these guys, this may be why Stu Baylor's out of the race right now. He's probably heading for the deer stand. But these guys, hunting is like second to none as far as racing goes. And we had a chance to catch up with some of our pro riders and ask them about catching deers.
Yeah, look, not really into my hunting over here in the US. Just haven't really got into it yet. But every time I go back to Australia, I like to go out with a couple of my mates and we go hunting. We go hunting deer back home, kind of like stalking through the hills. I don't know. It's kind of. I don't know why I haven't really got into it here. I don't know if it's just the whole sitting in the tree stand kind of thing. I'm a bit too ADHD for that. I got to get out and about and be walking around chasing after them. There's always a few good stories getting up to trouble and maybe hunting in a few places you shouldn't be. But yeah, I don't know. There's no real specific ones.
I actually don't hunt. I wish I enjoyed hunting. But I don't think every time I tried, I can't sit still in a tree. So I enjoyed seeing deer in the woods, bucks. I enjoy seeing that. But I have a hard time sitting still.
I'm not a big actual hunter. I do some bow fishing and fishing, but so yeah, I don't have many hunting stories.
Oh man, I mean, I might be from the South. I'm not a big hunter. All my buddies are. I did it a couple times when I was a kid, but I can't sit still for that long. But I can speak to probably bow fishing, if that counts. I've done a lot of that with the Baylors, and I don't know, I love to bring out my inner redneck and go shoot some fish. But yeah, no, dude, I don't have the patience or any of that.
Man, my favorite hunting story. So at 17 years old, my mechanic and I at the time, my best friend, who then became my mechanic and no longer, so Corey McDonald and I went out to Missouri, stayed in a pickup truck. It was 18 degrees, ended up getting a little cabin with no heat, got some small space heaters, and snuggled up essentially on a twin bed to put blankets around it because it was so cold and the heaters just weren't doing it. The last day, we're both sitting there. I shoot a deer. It falls under his stand. I'm going over there. I'm on the phone with him. I go over there. We're going to drag this deer out, and I see the antlers in the bush. And I'm like, Corey, there's a deer. It's a big one. It was actually bigger than mine. Deer stands up, shoots it, takes out his front leg. We chase it down on foot. We watch it climb up the other mountain. I'm chasing it with a log. Corey's yelling for me to get further away from the deer because he's ready to shoot it again. Absolutely insane, like almost make-believe. And that was probably one of my coolest experiences with my good buddy, hunting buddy, and bad shot Corey McDonald.
Is anyone shocked that Stu Baylor had the best catching deers story? That's right, catching deers. You can hashtag that, kids. That just upsets hunters. No, no surprise there. We welcome Zach Heron back into the booth. That Stu Baylor had the biggest hunting story.
Well, are you shocked? Yeah.
Shocker,
I was
right?
about to say.
They should have gotten Thad. Thad Duvall's got some good ones as well. Who they really should have interviewed was Maggie Duvall, who I think's got some trophy deer compared to Thad's. Just saying, just throwing it out there.
Well, I was actually able. We didn't get it on camera, but I did talk to Stu Baylor. A bike problem there, something to do with a wiring issue, and like you said, talking about being a little defeated.
Yeah,
the guy can never be defeated. He's down, but he's not out, if you will. So definitely frustrated and deservingly so. But nonetheless, Stu, he's healthy. He's okay.
Yeah.
He's going to go to work for next season. We did also, just to touch, we got to see Grant Davis was making his way to the SOS Medical Center. It does look like a problem with the foot, lower ankle area there. I think one of the big concerns was it a knee issue? We know how bad those can get, but looks to be a foot problem. Wasn't screaming in agonizing pain. I mean, the dude's tough, but still, nonetheless, hopefully going to be something that can heal relatively quickly, and he'll be back at it soon.
I mean, if you want to look at it glass half full, last race of the season, we're heading into the off season.
Title's done.
Title, you got it wrapped up. He's also very young, and it probably still mostly cartilage. Okay, he'll heal up quick.
Well, that's what you get for riding them two-strokes, man. I told you. Yeah, all my two-stroke lovers, that was a joke. All right. Don't come for me. All right. It's
we love them too.
They
promise.
Sound good. I love the XC3 class. It's fine. Ryan Villapoto was on one earlier.
Yeah.
Everything's okay.
Doing work. Zach, while you're away, Snodgrass still your leader. DeLong was all over that rear wheel, taking shots, looking for opportunity. Wasn't able to make it happen. He's checked up a little bit since, but still in that 2 spot. And then Draper still just behind them. But battle ensues, and Snodgrass looking good through the halfway point.
Well, look, DeLong, and the short of it is that Craig DeLong wants to win, okay? And he's looking to it's the last ride with the number one for the year. And that is something that we talked about at the beginning of the season, the pressure, the weight of the number one. But Craig earned that pressure, man. He put on quite a show last year, and found that dog in him that we talked about so much. And I honestly kind of hate to see that Craig didn't really get to perform with it like I think he wanted to. He had some things out of his control, some bad luck not go his way, and I think this is a great performance and a great way to cap off that championship winning or championship celebrating season, if you will. Obviously good friends there with Johnny Gerard, congratulates him, celebrates with him, but yeah, this guy, he earned the number one. He wants to go out with the number one in position number one.
Yeah, absolutely. I got a message from Liam's mom, and it turns out Craig is actually going to be the best man in Liam's wedding. So how about that for these two guys? Maybe they throw some elbows, bang some bars here today, and that changes by the end of this race. I don't think so. It's got some of that blue groove still. Love to see it. Into the pits we go.
All right,
and
so
this is going to be big right here.
We talk about it as a far more than an individual sport here at GNCC Racing. This is why pit crews got to be executing at an all-time high right now. The battle is on. Snodgrass fired up. He's gone leading into the drag race. That was cool on Craig DeLong's part. He could have forced the issue, but checked up just a little bit. Lyndon Snodgrass still out front. Good showing of sportsmanship there from Craig.
Yeah, that was Craig definitely checking up just a little bit right there. Probably the right move. They're going to come into the finish line area here and see Ricky Towery. Ricky Towery still waving that yellow flag here. We are, right at about an hour 30, so right at that halfway point. And Snodgrass checks in, a lap time 30 minutes 24 seconds. DeLong 30:15, so a little faster. And timing and scoring is going to say they're a second apart, but you guys are watching on Racer TV. It's wheel to wheel right now.
Man, look at that. A great job from Craig DeLong, staying just to the left or right of that dust spray coming off of Lyndon Snodgrass. Look at that, tucks back to the inside. Immediately gets out of the way. Whoa, get a little sideways. Cuts back underneath, doing a great job of not falling. Look at that, little scrub action here on the Ironman motocross track. Said, hey, Motocross is Nations, we're here, we're available too.
Right.
But going to be impressive. And could that be the pass?
That might have been it.
Wow, look at that, a quick mistake. And no, how about it, Snodgrass? If you want it, you're going to have to take it from me. I think Snodgrass was more than willing to go the distance and make the contact as they were leaving the pit area. There was no checking up from the 178.
No, and right now, Snodgrass, though, I think feeling a little bit of the pressure. Craig looks a little smoother through these last few sections. and just continuing to apply the pressure. So I think, Craig, this was what it looked like a little bit earlier, and he had to check up a little bit, maybe catch his breath, regroup a little bit, have a conversation, and going after him now. And they're still lurking. Liam Draper in that 3 spot when he checked in 7 seconds back. Mike Wachowski 4th, Ben Kelly 5th place, 6th place going to be Evan Smith, and drum roll, Jordan Ashburn's checked in the 7th spot.
So there you see it. Look at the difference in speed here, and no shame to that rider. Like we said, on the amateur side of things, these are some of the top, the best of the best, the ones that are winning your local races. But, man, just look at the difference in speed compared to the rest of the field, to our top riders. But like you touched on, Mikey, Craig DeLong looking a little bit smoother. Smooth is fast out here, especially in these drier conditions. As we're taking a look now at the lap traffic. Oh
man, that was close. Our lap rider looked over the shoulder like, is there any more of those freight trains coming? Look at the dust kick up right there. Snodgrass gets around the lapper.
And this is always the debate. Who's it better to be? Is it Craig DeLong right now? Not necessarily breaking ground on those lap riders, but it's still Linus Snodgrass technically leading the way. So definitely going to be interesting. We had over 700 riders in our second of the AM bike races, and I couldn't imagine being Brady Richards, Rachel Archer. I heard Ryan Villapoto say he did the smart thing, latch onto the back of Rachel Archer, let her do the revving, because she definitely knows how to make her way through some lap riders. But right now, this is all just another variable that these leaders are having to deal with.
Yeah, Craig all over him right now. Sucking in a little dust as well, though, as he does it.
Well, and you can only move over so much, right? Obviously, there's X amount of lines that these riders can take and maintain the speed that they do, but nonetheless, whenever he can, does a great job of trying to get out of the roost of Snodgrass.
And that might have been the reason, he checked up a little bit earlier, because he never really had a mistake or anything. Maybe he's saying, I got to make sure I'm not blowing the machine up at the same time. We'll see how this plays out. They dip back into the woods. We'll pick them up here on the other side.
Love these field sections.
Pretty cool.
Yamaha Racing Live drone really giving us an awesome eagle eye opportunity to be able to see the line choices these riders are taking and how it's the slightest of differences. Both of those riders peeking to the inside of that main berm. Craig trying to stay just underneath the full powder silty areas. Gets the power to the ground. Snodgrass, he doesn't look too concerned about the silt. Staying on the pegs, on the gas all the way through. Look at that. Craig DeLong, the wide line, trying to find some untouched territory. Maybe even find a little bit of, I don't know if he's going to find any moisture under there, Mikey. We had a little bit of rain on Friday, but he's going on untouched soil right now as they dip back into the woods. And with every passing lap when we go to these wood shots, you see a little bit dustier, a little bit dustier. It's just like the hills on camera, doesn't quite get the full scope of it. It is hard to see through here right now. Liam Draper still hanging in that 3rd place spot. Not quite in no man's land. I'm sure he's able to catch a glimpse of those top 2 from time to time in those open field sections. But look at the gap that they have opened up over, we believe, going to be Mike Wachowski, the next rider to check in, but we are still waiting. How about this, man? Top 3 breakaway.
And, just assuming Witkowski, Kelly, all those guys taking a pit stop as well at that halfway point.
So the Phoenix Racing Honda of Mike Wachowski still in that 4th place position. A quietly stellar ride once again from Mike. We'll see what that gap is back to the final rider in the top 5. Looked like Ben Kelly was able to get around Evan Smith. And there it is. BK making his way through on the Red Bull KTM. Really the solo rider now after Grant Davis having some issues. And then, like we said, Johnny Gerard not with us this weekend. Josh Strang, last year's winner, trying to put a little pressure on.
Yeah, Josh Strang trying to close the season out well. And, we talked to him. Oh, there was Jordan Ashburn. There's your confirmation. Yes, missing that front number plate. But, yeah, Strang's talking about, I hate asking him about retirement because I feel like I've asked the guy for the last 5-6 years, and he says, man, I'd really like to get one more year in at least. And he's certainly capable. He's still one of the top riders. And he's always that guy that just when you're like, I think he might be done, he comes out and he pulls off a podium, pulls off a win like he did here last year. So he's certainly still capable. Toby Cleveland going by right there.
Could Toby Cleveland have possibly taken over the XC2 lead once again?
Yeah, he did check in front of Thad Duvall. As a matter of fact, I don't see Thad has checked in yet with the lap completed, because I think it was...
There's Cody Barnes.
Yes, Barnes in 2, Angus Reardon in the number 3 spot. So, yeah, no signs of Thad Duvall yet. Still has not checked in with a second lap completed.
So definitely going to be interesting there. Playing a game of musical headphones here in the Racer TV booth. And once again, seeing one of those gaps space back out. Johnny G back here with us. Johnny, we're really seeing that top 3 start to break away. 2-rider duel between Snodgrass and DeLong, and then Liam Draper. You know, he's got the hydration hanging out. He's taking a sip, enjoying the show up ahead right now, but still more than close enough to be able to get into the fight. I think he's kind of just biding his time right now.
Yeah, and you got to wonder, you know, Liam Draper, obviously those guys up front setting a great pace and looking really strong. The question is, you know, is Draper just tired of eating all that dust? It's one thing, and we've talked about this before, now we see Angus Reardon on screen working his way up through in that XC2 class. You guys did just mention a shakeup. I wasn't following along on screen, but we have lost Thad Duvall is what I'm told. So unfortunate for him. When I say lost, like he's okay, he's out there somewhere. We do see now is that the 220 of Cooper Jones, I believe? Yes. And looking like he came in, saw the side panel off. What we talked about earlier, filter change would be my guess, or at least pulling a filter skin. Now we see some riders going the wrong way down the Ironman Twin Hills. And Lyndon Snodgrass, we're told, is due to pop up over the top, and that may be him coming up that inside line. Close, and look at that new leader, Craig DeLong. Almost gave a shout out to Big Brother Andrew there. I'm sure he's at home watching on TV. He went so fast, he went back in time and became his older brother. Craig DeLong out front, grabbing the lead there in that exchange from Lyndon Snodgrass, and can show you just how much things can change and just how quickly.
Is this just back tire erosion over the years that we're seeing on the hillside? That's what dug that rut out?
That was flat when we started racing here in 1995. Wow. No, it's not erosion. That would be, no, it's not. That was, we call it excavation.
Okay. There you go. There's the term.
Excavation.
Oh, look at the difference, though, just in the visibility. We could clearly see Snodgrass headed up the hill, and then after just a couple of riders make their way through, it's completely blind from all the way top down to the bottom. Craig DeLong, though, getting around and is trying to get busy, checking out up front. Snodgrass, we'll see what he's got in the tank if he can latch onto the back of the number 1. Where is Liam Draper? How far back is he?
We saw him in that last shot. It looked like he had lost a little bit of ground, still close enough to be within striking distance, but not right in the fight at the moment. I think we're going to, there he is right there, the 198 of Draper. So good, probably 20 plus seconds back right now would be my guess, just kind of counting and looking on screen here.
So watching your leaders weave their way through this 3-mile mark. And starting to see not only the lap riders getting thicker and thicker, but you can kind of tell as they move forward through these groups in this afternoon race, the skill sets that they're passing are a little bit more likely that they're involved in a battle of their own. Makes it a little bit tougher to get them to just move out of the way.
Yeah, and to your point there, Zach, you know, when you come up on the first few riders, like again, this is the afternoon race. Most of these guys, top riders in their local regional series, but maybe not just not maybe at the top of the overalls, but when you start coming up on them, they kind of know you're coming. They're by themselves. They hear a bike coming. They say, oh, they're used to it. It's the leaders. Further you get up into the pack, these guys, when they hear a bike revving at them, you know, they're ready to turn and tell the guy they're racing in their class what they think about that rev. They turn around, they see the big number 1 of Craig DeLong or the 178 of Lyndon Snodgrass, and they're like, oh, I need to move out of the way and let this race go through. But it definitely does make it harder to pass as you work your way up through the faster lapped riders.
They have definitely got their work cut out for them there. You see Josh Strang making his way forward as well, trying to get up in the fight. As we are just past the halfway mark, this is the change for the lead. Craig DeLong applying pressure after a drag race battle leaving pit lane. And here you see a couple of split line decisions. They make their way around. I believe this might actually be the pass. There it was. Okay, so in the next camera shot, Craig had gotten the job done as they got to the top of Ironman Hill. How is it going to shake up? Can Craig DeLong put the number 1 on top? We're going to get word from our sponsors, and we'll be back at the Yamaha Racing Ironman GNCC.
On Track School is an online private school catering to some of the top athletes in the world. We offer a flexible schedule for students that are chasing their dreams and always on the go. We are an accredited K-12 school where students can graduate with a diploma. Scan the QR code or call us to book an appointment with one of our learning coaches to discuss your students' next steps.
We've been there since the very beginning.
20 laps, the main event, the mud, the blood, the beer.
Organizing the industry and building champions. "100 years of defending your rights to ride into the future."
And welcome back to GNCC Live here on RacerTV.com. We are at the Yamaha Racing Ironman GNCC, our season finale. Joined in the booth by Mike Ulrich, representing Yamaha this weekend. And obviously, you guys rolled out the red carpet. You brought some big names. You're a major component, I guess, responsible for that for us. And, man, tell us a little bit about you and just some of the things Yamaha had going on this weekend.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I'm stoked to be here. Really, thanks for all the hospitality. Yeah, this is our title round, so we try to pull out all the stops. It just so happened allowed us to take advantage of introducing our all-new 2025 YZ250F. So yeah, we brought out a bunch of media. We actually went to a local spot to go do some riding, get the guys used to the bikes, get their bikes all set up for the race on Friday, and then came out here and allowed them to do the race on Sunday, and everybody had just a complete blast. It was really cool.
Well, I know the GNCC fans, riders alike, stoked to have you guys out and the red carpet that you did roll out, and not just the big names too. I mean, you guys did so much. Obviously, talking about the new bike. I asked you prior to you coming on air, I said, and you raced too, right? You said, no, I rode. But fair enough, man. How was that experience?
Oh, it was so cool. Like, this whole weekend is so awesome. The fans and just everybody is so welcoming. They're so happy for us to be here. So we try to give back as much as we can. We had a bunch of giveaways this weekend as well. Brought out, like we already talked about, Villapoto and Bradshaw. We had several ATV teams that we were on. I was on one of them, did a lap. It was just a blast. So cool to, any kind of off-road riding is awesome. We love it. We're an off-road company, and we're so happy to be a part of it.
Man, we're stoked to have you as a part of it. Grassroots racing, GNCC's like the good old boys, right?
Absolutely,
I mean, this is kind of the bread and butter of motorcycling and ATVs alike.
For sure, yeah. Just seeing the amount of people that come out, and like you said, grassroots, they're just out here to have a good time, and it's incredible. And everybody's so nice. I'm from California, so not used to all the hospitality that we get out this way, but man,
I'm flattered. I'm a Midwest guy, so thank you.
Yeah, awesome. We had such a great time, and like I said, Ryan and Damon, I think they were surprised, how much of a good time they had. They've never done this before either. So yeah, they thoroughly enjoyed themselves on both 2 and 4 wheels. All our journalists, every single one of them, when they came back from the race, they were super stoked, loved it. And yeah, everything was awesome.
Good. What's next for you?
Next, we got some, just basically starting to get ready for next season.
Fair.
So we've got some stuff to do with the teams to get them ready for next year, for January. Obviously, Supercross is going to be coming up next. We still have some shootouts to do with, I handle a lot of that stuff on the off-road motorcycle side as well, working with the media to do shootouts. And yeah, there's always plenty to do.
Nice. Love that. Just got reports we've not seen on a camera shot Lyndon Snodgrass. So, boy, a little breathing room here for Craig DeLong out in front, it looks like. So we'll keep our eyes on out for the 178. And that may have opened up the opportunity here for Liam Draper to jump up into that number 2 spot. So, man, what has been, is this your first not your first GNCC? No.
No. Yeah, I've done a few. I've done the Florida round.
Okay. Palatka, yeah.
Yep. I actually did kind of what we did this year with the ATV team race and stuff. I did that last year as well. It was a blast, so I signed up for another year. And yeah, I love coming out to these. I wish I had more time to do more of them.
Heck yeah.
Well, Mike, we talked about it a little bit yesterday at the Monster Energy Concert Series. Blue Crew stepping up in a humongous way. I don't know the exact number because it's so big. I know it's over $800,000 of contingency to the Blue Crew. And you guys have also kind of revamped and redone your Blue Crew site as well. I know we've been talking about that all season long, but you guys have got that thing absolutely dialed in, and all the more reason for any of the Yamaha owners or people looking to purchase a Yamaha to join Blue Crew as well. Absolutely, yeah. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, we've really worked hard to revamp the program. It's not just a contingency program, which that's what a lot of people associate it with. We try to really make it an experience for the customers and for anybody who owns a Yamaha. You don't have to have a YZ to sign up for contingency, to sign up with Blue Crew. So we offer a lot of cool little perks that you can get when you sign up. We did our whole, on the motocross side, we did a super finale deal this year where we picked some kids from a couple of our races. We had some Blue Crew Invitational races. And then we picked kids to go to Europe to race there in front of the world stage at the Motocross the Nations. And those kids did great. They really did us proud.
It's awesome.
So, yeah, the program's going great. It's growing. I would definitely encourage people to sign up. And, yeah, there's only upsides to it.
Take advantage of that. And sounds like we just got a quick glimpse. Looked like Liam Draper with some struggles going down. DeLong got to get some breathing room. I think we're going to take a look at a replay of that.
So looking at the bottom of your screen, try to see if we can catch exactly what. Oh, just got caught up in the silty. And we talk about how deceiving that stuff is. You think you can kind of bank off underneath it.
Did a good job, quick to get back up on the machine and rolling, but tough break for him. And again, DeLong now with a little bit more breathing room, trying to cap off this 2024 season with a win.
So taking a look at Craig DeLong right now, making his way through the Monster Mile. And taking a look. There is Lyndon Snodgrass.
Yeah, so there's Snodgrass. So Snodgrass still in the 2 spot.
Have Snodgrass picked up.
So I'm thinking that might have been Lyndon. Yeah, I thought. So there is Liam Draper in that 3 spot. So I think that was Snodgrass. Look, couldn't quite tell from the Yamaha.
Little sun glare there.
But nonetheless, okay, so still sitting 1, 2, and 3. And the point remains, Craig DeLong still with some breathing room out in front.
Not a lot, though, and especially in dusty conditions like this, it's hard to breathe for sure. Talking about conditions like this, we always talk about the variables. Breathing, it sounds so simple. Oh, just breathe in. But in conditions like this, we've even seen on the four-wheel side of things, I believe it's Adam McGill that sometimes will wear a dust mask literally to help filter some of that through. But we've seen how consistently these riders have been reaching for hydration. Part of that, obviously, hydration very important, as you see Ben Kelly making his way by. But at the same time, the last thing you want is, everybody's been there before. You get a little bit of dust in the back of your throat. You start coughing. You start dry even. Who knows where it could go if it gets out of hand. So definitely one of those unspoken factors that these riders are dealing with right now.
Well, Mike, man, on behalf of GNCC and everybody, thank you guys so much for everything you did this weekend. And Yamaha continues to do for GNCC and racing in general throughout the season, man.
Yeah, thank you guys very much. I mean, we try to do what we can, and we love being involved with GNCC. It's a very important market for us. Like I said, the fans are great. Everybody involved is awesome, and we try to do what we can. So we appreciate you guys, and yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Mike Aldridge from Yamaha making his way out And checking back in with the camera, it's almost hard to tell, but taking a look. Here comes, there is Ricky Russell making his way through, up on the pegs. Always so funny to see the different styles. Some of those riders kicked off the side of the seat. Ricky up on the pegs.
Like 6'11", you know, so no issues for him. So yeah, can confirm. We went back. Producer Adam Gordon looked back at that replay. That was Lyndon Snodgrass that had the little get off there. So all good. We got our run in order. We're rolling with it, and it is Craig DeLong. And Zach, we've talked more often about Craig DeLong this year with the troubles that he's had as opposed to the successes that he's had. I got to think, man, if he can hang on for this one, still a little ways to go yet for him. This is going to be a great way for him to kind of, hey, I'm still worthy. I still got it. I'm coming back to be a contender next year.
Yeah, and I think if anybody has counted out or started to doubt Craig DeLong, I'll say it, you're a fool.
Yeah,
because this
nuts.
guy he's got the work, and he's one of those quiet guys, right?
Yeah.
You know, and they say you should fear the quiet ones, right?
Oh,
because
absolutely.
he's putting in the time. He doesn't need to tell you about it. He doesn't need to post about it to show you.
Yeah.
He just knows, hey, this is what I need to do to be successful. So, like we said, there's been a lot of variables that really aren't his fault, right? Some things out of his control, some things going absolutely crazy earlier in the season, and in a lot of ways that kind of set it up to where, you know, hey, this title is looking further and further out of reach. But like you said, momentum, something you can always start to build. What better way to start building 2025 momentum than to end 2024 with a win?
It was interesting. We talked a little bit yesterday with Bryson Neal capturing his third title in a row. Ryan Villapoto was in here, and he made the comment, you know, what one is the hardest? He said the first one was the easiest, and then when you got to go and back it up, it gets a little harder. Then when you got to do it again, it gets a little harder. So that's kind of what we saw with Craig DeLong this year. The first one, not easy by any means. When you put it in perspective, he was going after that second one, and things just could not go right for him. So it just something special, though, Craig, I think, for next year. Things are going to go well for him.
Man, go ahead.
No,
I was going to say, you really got a good idea in that shot how bad these shadows are as well. Jackson, I know you even talked about this. We had our youth bike race yesterday afternoon following the ATV race, and that's something that not really doesn't get thought about or talked about quite a lot is how deceiving these shadows can be. We heard from Marvin Muskin earlier saying, hey, you know, I didn't see that, didn't see a root, didn't see a rock. Well, that was in broad daylight, and here, as you can see on your screen right now, different shadows going all over the place can definitely play some tricks on these riders and make it a little bit harder to know exactly what you're getting ready to get into.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And 3-hour race, the shadow is going to change throughout the race. Not like a motocross track where you're going to know exactly where the shadows are going to be. This track's going to be the same every time. This is a completely different world. 12.5 miles that these riders are going to have to navigate through that.
That's murky through there. That's a Halloween shot right there. It's waiting for Michael Myers to start strolling through slowly.
Dun-dun.
Yeah.
Dun-dun.
So, guys, how we were going, did Stu Baylor confirm out of the race?
Stu Baylor is finished. Yep, was able to talk to him when I made my way through the pits. I had some unfortunate mechanical issues. As far as mentality goes, he's down, but he's not out, Jackson. He's a little frustrated, reasonably so, but ready to come out swinging for next year. So hoping for the best for Stu. The rider that we have not seen here as of recently is Thad Duvall, also on that Rocky Mountain Red Bear Kawasaki. Not sure whether he's checked in yet. Definitely looked like he had some issues. He was running up front, leading that XC2 class. So going to have to wait and see. Still not looking like we've had Thad check in. But we did just see Ben Kelly make his way by on the FMF Red Bull KTM. And we've had some shakeups at the front as well. Craig DeLong taking over the lead. Lyndon Snodgrass and Liam Draper still hanging tough second and third. Quite the gap back to the fourth place of Mike Wachowski. And there you see Josh Strang making his way through on that JS Beta.
And talking about Stu Baylor again, all the Stu Baylor fans out there, I really think we got big things to come. If Stu Baylor, which I believe he is, going to be racing in 2025, as we see your leader Craig DeLong on the screen, heading into the soybean field, I believe.
Yes. Yeah.
And headed back out. But Stu Baylor, besides Josh Strang, he has the most wins of anybody in the class. 20 overall wins to his name. There's other riders that have 3-4 wins to their name, have championships. Stu Baylor does not have a championship. One of the most winning riders to do that and not have a championship. So we always talk about his back being against the wall. I think as far as championships go, it's really going to be against the wall. In 2025, as you know, that's what he wants to put on his mantle, a GNCC championship.
Well, and I don't think anybody has to tell him either. You know what I mean? I think he puts a ton of pressure on himself.
No doubt.
And not only the responsibility of his own racing effort, but like we said, the team manager there for the Rocky Mountain Red Bear Kawasaki team, he's building a house. He's got another baby on the way. So, I mean, Stu is working hard. Obviously, one of the main personnel over there at the Shoals training as well. So he's got a lot on his plate, and I think that's the way the guy likes it, to be honest with you. I think he likes staying busy, keeping the nose to the grindstone. So, yeah, definitely not the luck for Stu Baylor this season. Whoa, one rider.
Wide.
Not quite as much traction there as we thought, but nonetheless, Stu, going to go, what was it, catch some deers?
Catching deers.
All right.
Yeah,
and,
catching deers.
Yeah, get him a couple of deers with an S and come out swinging for next season.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt somebody like Stu Baylor, he puts all the pressure on himself. He knows what he wants to do. He has high hopes for himself, high expectations. I'm sure we have a lot more to come for him in 2025.
And like you guys said, a lot of irons in the fire for Stu. He actually hired a good friend of ours, Indiana native Steven Squire, now down in South Carolina training at the Shoals with those guys. So, he just continues to put the pieces together. And if you ever doubt whether or not Stu wants it, I mean, just look at his whole life revolves around racing. He races it. He manages it. He's got the Shoals MX track that he's working with. So, yeah, his heart is in it. I don't know if there's anybody out there that wants it more than him. And, you find yourself rooting for the guy. They call him the people's champ for a reason. He's just fun to like. He's exciting. You never know what he's going to say on a microphone. It makes for I've always been the component.
Oh,
yeah, that's true, too. I've always said, we need both of those. We need the guy that's like the choir boy that does like all the right things. You need that like yin and yang, right? You need the guy that's kind of, oh my goodness, what's he going to say on camera? That makes for a little diversity in our sport. I've always liked it.
He's definitely very real, and I think we very much appreciate that. And speaking of the Shoals, I believe it's kin to Stu. Caleb Wood, our youth champion of last year, wrapped up the title for the YXC1 and is actually making his big bike debut out here this afternoon. So, big things happening there for the Shoals and for that Rocky Mountain Red Bear team, continuing to grow. Obviously, we had Rachel Archer have a solid performance this afternoon as well for the team. So, yeah, a lot going on, and that's the case for all of these riders. I mean, when we sit there and say, oh, they're only focused on their own racing career, they're focused on nutrition, they're focused on fitness, they're focused on longevity as well. I mean, there's so many things that a lot of people don't think about, traveling to and from the races week after week. A lot of these riders doing multiple series as well. So it truly is a juggling and a balancing act for each and every one of these riders.
So on screen here, looking at your Yamaha Racing live drone, that is going to be your leader, I do believe, Craig DeLong. And there he is, making his way through. Speaking of ending the season on a high note, after a rough year here for Craig DeLong, no better way to end off the season and go into this winter break than a win here at the Ironman GNCC.
Yeah, I can't think of a guy that really needs that victory and moral victory more than maybe Craig DeLong. You can just see kind of in the body language at times this season, he just, I don't know if disappointed is the right word, but maybe frustrated, little disappointment of, I know I'm capable of this, just hasn't clicked for him, and it is certainly clicking here today. And to Zach's point earlier, man, talked about that coming off that injury, so it was, hey, when are we going to see him kind of wane or fade? Right now, it looks like Craig's just putting that out of mind. He said, I'm going to worry about that when I see a checkered flag. Right now, he gets a 2-lap card from the Ricky Towery.
He's doing the fancy style, pinkies up, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Absolutely flying right now. And you know what? A lot of maturity that we saw and confidence from Craig DeLong. We saw that absolute drag race between himself and Lyndon Snodgrass coming off a pit lane, as now we watch Liam Draper make his way through the chicanes. But the fact that he was willing to just check up a little bit, says, hey, I'm not going to get into a full-on altercation, full bar-banging moment with you. Let you have it for right now. I'm confident I'll be able to find my way around when it's time. He was able to do just that.
And here he is back on screen once again. Craig DeLong going to make his way up the big hill here, backwards as the motocross track would go. Godzilla is what they call it.
Was that Craig DeLong or Christian Craig with that scrub right there? Man, these guys throwing a little style on the moto track. I love to see it.
Guys, I have to tell you, one of the coolest things I think I've ever saw on a dirt bike was down at the Ironman Hill. Liam Draper goes to the outside line and, as beautiful as you could, jumped all the way up the hill, landed, never got off the gas. It was picture perfect. And it was really impressive to see there from Draper.
So many of these little technical aspects. I mean, we say it all the time, manualing over little bumps, able to stay completely on the pegs, but completely sideways through some of these corners as well. The technical bike skills that these riders have in such a variety of terrains truly blows my mind each and every round. And we're seeing it in action right now as Craig DeLong trying to run away. I do think he's gotten out of eyesight, at least, from Snodgrass.
34 seconds. DeLong out in front. Draper in that 2 spot. 34.5 seconds back. Snodgrass finally checks in. He is 19 seconds back from Draper. So getting some pretty good gaps here between your top riders.
And there he is on screen now. Snodgrass making his way through on the 178 Kawasaki ride. And yeah, he's definitely out of sight. 34 seconds. Yeah. Liam Draper definitely does not have eyesight on Craig DeLong. Snodgrass 19 seconds back. He isn't going to have much eyesight on Liam Draper either. So these guys kind of out there by themselves in no man's land.
Ben Kelly's checked in. He's in the 4 spot, 24 seconds back. Evan Smith rounding out your top 5. And Evan another 32 seconds back. Strang has checked in. Strang's right there. He's in the fight. He's got a good one going on with Evan Smith for that 5 spot, a second back. And then Ricky Russell in 7th. Mike Wachowski, maybe. No, Jordan Ashburn going to check in front of Wachowski, and that is it so far for riders on the lead lap.
So here we go, making our way back through the field once again.
Craig able to just ride smooth right now. Got a decent gap back to second. Ride smart. Kick up some dust, kick up as much dust as you can. Make it difficult, although the wind's not helping him in that regard. It's all right, though. Doing good, Craig. Back into the woods for Craig DeLong. Pan back looking for the 198 of Liam Draper.
And these guys absolutely just skating around on that hard pack stuff right there.
Let's keep it up. Let's get some Blue Groove out in the bean field.
Well, and you talk about obviously we had Brock Glover up here from Dunlop earlier, and tire selection got to be a huge talking point because, like you said, you got if it was endless powder, yeah, sure, run you a scoop, right? Be able to just let it eat. But you've got this hard pack stuff that the riders are facing as well. So you've got the best, maybe the worst of both worlds, if you will. A lot of different options, a lot of different riders choosing to go a different way with it, but. Nonetheless, you got to find, once again, it's just a balancing act, figuring out what's going to work the best in all of those different terrains. As Snodgrass taking a little bit of an alternate line there, kind of cutting from way outside over of that main silt berm and driving forward towards the wood line as we see DeLong check in. And just like that, he checks back out here at mile number 1.
Got to hand it Toby Cleveland leading the way for that XC2 class. He's kind of quietly in that number 5 position in the overall. And then it was Cody Barnes checked in 2nd in the XC2. Angus Reardon now 3rd. They sit 10th and 11th in the OA.
Yeah, this is definitely a big performance and a big showing for Toby Cleveland. Moving up to that XC2 class. I had a great performance last year in the FMF XC3 125 class, but jumps up to the XC2 and has not quite found that same stride. The guy is an absolute rocket ship off the start. We saw him in a drag race for the holeshot award here in XC3 earlier, or in XC2, I'm sorry, earlier today. But it's the next 3 hours, right? That seems to be the issue. Not a lack of speed, but almost sometimes trying too hard, like we talked about yesterday. So Cleveland feeling the flow right now, putting in a solid performance, leading the way in XC2, and a quiet top 5 on the overall charts.
A few more shout-outs here, a couple more. JoJo Cunningham out of that Open A class. He sits 1st in class, 15th in the OA. And FMF XC3 class leader Dakota DeVore leading it for the XC3 and sitting 19th in the overall.
I tell you what, I don't think we give those XC3 boys enough love. I believe it was it 2nd or 3rd overall? We saw Jack Walker at one point in our last race. I mean, they never cease to amaze me, and they're doing it on the 125s. Ryan Villapoto, he probably appreciates them. That's for sure.
I appreciate it now.
But, yeah, Jack Walker and Dakota DeVore have been going back and forth all season long, and Dakota able to find his way to the front right now. But still got just under an hour left of racing. As there goes Josh Strang making his way through. feeling comfortable on that beta ride, relatively new ride there for Strang, and seems to have been able to pick up pretty quickly and find a decent amount of comfort. I believe Strang going over to the ISDE and running a 2-stroke, I believe. But there goes Ricky Russell making his way through. Once again, but not even touching the seat, up on the pegs the whole time. And there you see Jordan Ashburn on that Coastal Racing gas.
Is that Cleveland?
Couldn't quite tell. I was trying to look at the back of the jersey.
Nope.
I thought it was the same kind of gear.
That was.
That was.
Wow. So how about that? Toby Cleveland caught up into that XC1 group.
And he is a minute, when they checked in at the finish line, he was a minute and 3 seconds ahead of his next competitor, which is going to be Cody Barnes in the second place position on the Honda machine. So wow, a minute and 3 seconds. That's a good lead for somebody like Toby Cleveland after the season he's had. To be able to jump up and lead those guys by a minute, that is quite the feat.
Well, and sometimes it just clicks, right? Sometimes you wake up, things are feeling right, the bike's feeling good, you're jiving with the track. And what's funny is sometimes it's not even the favorite conditions of these riders. It's just for some reason things are clicking. And so Toby Cleveland, he's not questioning it right now. He's keeping the throttle locked and is trying to walk away with the first XC2 win, I believe, in his career. And what a way to close off the season.
Yeah, carry a little momentum into 2025 and into the off-season.
There we see Cody Barnes, also fresh off of a trip over to Spain, stepping up for the injured Craig DeLong, so pretty cool for him. And he definitely did not take that responsibility lightly.
No.
He said, I mean business. We were able to talk at our last round, and David Eller and the Phoenix Racing Honda team stepped up and made sure they were able to get parts and bikes over there. And man, a solid performance from all of those guys. Is now we take a look here at the FMF PowerPoint and the sea of dust underneath us. There is the number one, Sneak Attack.
Flawless move by Craig there.
That was where we at least saw that the pass had been made over Snodgrass. So DeLong definitely got some kind of hotline over there.
And how about Ben Kelly?
Yeah,
making a push here.
Late.
See if we can catch him in one of these shots. Yeah, Ben pretty far back in the pack, and now being able to charge up, sitting in that 4th place position on the overall. He's going to be about 24 seconds back behind of Lyndon Snodgrass, at least when they checked in at the finish, as now we see Liam Draper checking in.
Yeah, Ben Kelly, that last lap around second fastest guy on the track. Only guy faster would have been your leader, Craig DeLong, with a 30:14, and it was Ben Kelly with a 30-minute, 27-second lap time.
So there you see Snodgrass check in. Let's see, maybe do a little mental stopwatch action here and see if we can find the gap and whether or not Ben Kelly's continuing to close it down or not. That is not the guy I would want to have behind me
no doubt.
Late in the race for sure. The guy is an absolute stud and going to keep charging forward all the way to the checkered flag. Gotta wonder, Snodgrass maybe went a little too hard too early, if that makes sense. He was really pushing the pace. We said he backed it down to maybe 95, but nonetheless, there you see Ben Kelly, still a pretty healthy gap.
Yep. Yeah. Decent gap right there. And yeah, that back to your point on Snodgrass, that was one of the things we were talking about earlier. He's got all the tools. It just seems like a matter of we get into that third hour, he wanes just a little bit. But it seems like all it takes is one race for a guy to figure that out, and then he's good from there. That looked like Evan Smith.
Yep, just in front of Strang. Those two, I believe, have gone back and forth a couple of times.
Yeah, they've been locked together pretty much this entire race.
Flash forward here to the Monster Mile, picking up with Ben Kelly. And making some moves forward. So Ben Kelly trying to mount a charge and find himself on the podium to close out the season. Will he be able to do it? We're going to have to wait to find out. Weaving his way through that Monster Mile, but this guy right now, Craig DeLong, the number one, he's wearing it for a reason, and he wants to show that, close off the 2024 season with a win. But Lyndon Snodgrass says, hang on a second. Liam Draper in the fight as well. Who's going to grab the win? We're going to have to wait to find out when we come back to the Yamaha Racing Ironman GNCC.
Community, family, teamwork. have stood on for over a decade. Hauling might be what we do at the surface, but it's much deeper than that, because what you need matters. When you need a haul, give us a call at 724-852-4488. For 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year, we at JD Enterprises are prepared to serve you.
It takes commitment, passion, and endurance to make something great. Made by champions, for champions.
All right, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Yamaha Racing Ironman GNCC. We talked a little bit about catching deers, where we're going to catch up with some more of our riders talking about their favorite pastime other than riding motorcycles.
Towards the beginning of my career, I think I was riding for Randy Hawkins at Yamaha. He took us on a hunting trip, like a turkey hunting trip. Probably one of the first times I've ever been turkey hunting. And he took us to the Big Buck Farm, which fits really well. And man, we went turkey hunting there. We kind of walked around all morning, and I was sitting down with one of his buddies, and we were sitting out there, and here comes this turkey, and he's like, all right, you go shoot this thing. And I'm like, all right, just boom. And he's like, whoa, man, that thing just dropped. He said, what'd you shoot that thing with? I was like, I don't know, this right here. That was a buckshot. He's like, whoa, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't even know. I don't know what I'm doing, so.
Yeah, no, obviously Stu Baylor is one of my really good friends, and he kind of got me into it a little bit a couple years ago. We'd go to Missouri, go hunting at that time of year, and then Sean Remington, another friend, he is in Pennsylvania. And I actually shot my first deer 2 years ago up in PA, and it was cool. But yeah, it's weird because we're still in race mode, but I spent a lot of hours sitting in a tree stand and hunting, and I still performed really well at the next event and actually won. So it didn't really hurt me, but yeah, it's just a way to kind of get your mind off of what we do every single day. You kind of are sitting in the tree and watching for deer, and I don't know, I enjoyed it. It was new to me.
So how about that? I didn't realize that was as much of a common pastime for all of our racers as I realized. But no, that's pretty cool. Ricky giving our man Stu Baylor a shout out for getting him into the act of hunting and finding the love for it. And man, right on cue, almost like I knew what I was doing. We welcome to the Racer TV booth. Actually, I mean, it's a warm welcome, but it's not where we want you to be. Stu Baylor here in the Racer TV truck with us. Stu, what the heck happened, man?
Man, just the last few races have obviously been terrible. Just the last two, we actually just played around with some different things to try to get the bike firing a little bit sooner, and ended up making some mistakes. But after Johnny had the championship, it was a good time to do it. Live racing testing. Sometimes you try things, you test things all season long. You take it to a race and it fails. So we obviously had some issues there the last race of that, and we changed absolutely everything we could think of this weekend, and just had one wire overlooked, and just it is what it is. It's something that's definitely frustrating, and it's something that's actually taken me out of a race before. Last time was Odessa, New York, 2016. I remember it perfectly crystal clear, and it was bringing back bad memories today.
Oh.
But yeah, part of it, it's racing. Obviously a bummer with both Grant and Jordan Ashburn having rough days, as far as the championship standing goes, but it is what it is. It wasn't a championship anyway, but it definitely cost a lot of money. So not the ideal day, but figured I would come over here, see what you guys are doing, and watch a little bit of racing. I can see a little bit more from this screen than I can sitting in the semi.
Stu, we've praised you this year. We've been hard on you this year. I got to think in your own head, maybe the same sentiments of sometimes like, man, I'm doing this, I got it, it's clicking, and then other times like, what the hell, the wheels are falling off, what do I got to do? But at the same time, like, we were just talking, you race, you've got the team, you have the Shoals MX, like you're so many irons in the fire, a dad again soon. How do you juggle all this and continue to chase that dream?
Man, it's difficult. But at the end of the day, this is where I make my bread and butter. I mean, the racetrack, the race course. So it is the focus. Obviously, sometimes some of the things that I've done over the last couple of years have put me in bad positions. As far as definitely putting too much on my plate, I'll be the first to admit. But with that said, it was something that I got on podcasts. I talked to you about it. I talked to other people, and I said I could do it better. And I think that although we've had some issues, I think I am doing it better, at least for the things that concern me, the things that I wanted to see with a race program. So, yes, we definitely have some work to do across the board. But next year I have hired a very reputable team manager that I think will take a lot off my plate there. Guy from Kentucky that may or may not have possibly podium hard enduros, won nationals.
Good at anything
GNCC,
he does on a dirt bike. Can we say it yet, or is it are we
You know
waiting?
what I mean? Obviously, people are going to sit there and insinuate on who it is, and there's only one guy that's that badass. So when you put somebody like Ryan Sipes,
I was going to say, generally speaking,
exactly.
He's been good at so many disciplines. I think team management is just gonna be another thing where he will thrive and hopefully put a really good program and make it even better. Obviously, the rumors are out that I will be the factory Kawasaki program next year. So a lot of big changes, and I think that a lot of this is going to assist in my racing and my focus on my racing. But these last few races, I felt good. The Dusty race prior, I went back, I watched some live feed. I was probably one of the only guys making moves on the track, and I made quite a few. And then again today, I was making moves. I saw the pit boards go from 50-something to 30-something real quick, and I was able to shift through a few guys and definitely got a bit sketchy making it happen. But I knew the stakes, and I knew that I had to stay ahead of Ashburn and Grant Davis today to get those overall points back. So that was the goal. Obviously fell short, but again, we're looking forward. It sucks to end the season this way, but I know I was fast here. I know I've been fast all year, and I know my focus has been not necessarily completely elsewhere. Obviously, like I say, racing pays for everything. Racing pays for the new race shop that I plan on building and everything that comes with this race team. But at the end of the day, I know where I stood, and it sucks to finish this way. But I know looking forward, I'm just looking forward to getting out of this year and into next.
That was the next question. After today, we all go back to zero. We all reset, and it's all focused on 2025. Obviously, Gerard will get to celebrate going into the season. But it's Steven Squire, another guy that you added at the Shoals down there, man. So you just you're throwing all these pieces in the puzzle. I like it.
Yeah. Steven, obviously a fellow Hoosier, so I'm sure you've got your eye on what he's doing. But doing great with the facility, and just like Sipes, I think he's going to be really good for my racing, so that I can step back and just trust those guys to do what they do. But on screen, it looks like Craig DeLong is already through, and I believe he's opened that gap up a good bit. And man, he's just riding on rails. I think he had something to prove. I know he wanted to go to ISD, even though he had his injury, and it was a tough decision for the whole ISD team to make. But I think he's wanting them to swallow their words right now.
There you go.
Look at me go. So Craig has ridden well here in the past, and obviously that big number one plate, he's got something to prove, and he's always been really good at starts, which assists him today. But he wasn't leading, and I actually caught glimpses of him every once in a while. I believe he was sitting third that first lap, and obviously chiseled away and got himself into a position. And now we see Liam Draper checking through. This is actually where I ended up pushing my bike.
Oh, yes.
I don't really want to see this part of the track. But yeah, Lennon was back there. We'll see where he checks in, and there he is. So I believe he's actually closed up a little bit on the tail end of Liam Draper. I was over there at the pits when he actually elected to come in and change the filter. His filter was stopped up. Did not suck any dust, but filter was stopped up. Bike was not running proper, so he slid in there. Cost himself some time, but obviously back to the rear wheel of Liam. And man, he's been riding good. Like the last few races, obviously his opening laps have been good, but overall, like all day long today, not to knock him, but we usually see him fade at this point. And looks like he's turning it back on and catching just a little bit on that 198 machine.
Yeah, that we made that point about Snodgrass earlier. He seems like that guy that's got all the pieces. They're all there. It's just a matter of putting it together for 3 hours. Little buddy, our little Liam Draper, he's been sensational since jumping up into the XC1, man. What do you think's clicking for Liam?
I think a big thing here lately.
Oh, Evan Smith going down right there.
It's a hairy little.
And he's been in a battle with
Josh
Strang all race.
I think that was Strang that just went by there. So, that was Strang. So he was actually, it looked like he had made up a little bit of time and put a little bit of a gap between himself and Strang. But yeah, no, Liam's riding really well, and there's Ricky Russell closing in, and I believe Jordan Ashburn was just behind him last I saw. But Liam's been riding great. Big thing is he's got really good starts, and he's put himself in good positions to battle with the top guys, figure out what they're doing, and I think he used it as a little bit of a learning curve. And there's Ben Kelly, who was definitely fourth the last time I saw him, so he's lost a good bit of ground as well.
You know what I'm hearing? We always talk about what's going on in these riders. You notice how much of attention he pays to where everyone's at?
Yep.
I mean, I'm sure it's probably the same way in the helmet. You've told us before you like to know what's going on, where everybody else is at. You got a better memory about where people work than we do, and we've been in here the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, as a racer, like you kind of subconsciously do it. Even in the bike only section, just over here before the finish, like there was a spot on lap 1 where the leaders were just below me. So I picked up kind of the top 3 positions. I knew Lennon was leading, kind of setting that pace, and I knew roughly each guy in line behind that, and we get into some of those slower spots. You pay attention of, okay, I got to mark this guy because that's 4th place, 3rd place, whatever it may be. And then I've got a little bit of breathing room to the next one. So, yeah, definitely as a pro racer, like when you come out and you get that opportunity to see who's ahead of you, it's definitely worth the time to look. And obviously, looking behind, everybody talks about looking behind. I occasionally get a glance. It's not something where I race behind me, but I do want to know who's back there, because depending on who it may be changes the way that I might have to ride, whether I need to guard my inside or if it's going to be a rider who's kind of going to just let you go and do your thing and follow you to the front. But yeah, it's it plays a big role in the overall 3 hours of racing. It's not just a quick moto where you're just laying it all on the line. Like each rider, especially the older I get, the more I see, like each rider you've got to ride differently around and ride more guarded on the inside or just ride your main lines. But yeah, it definitely changes who's there.
Who's the toughest?
Man, it's difficult. Today I had a really difficult time with Rui. I was getting really frustrated behind him. You know, when I catch somebody in the dust, it's like, hey, dude, like, come on. You know, at that point, like if I run you down with lack of visibility, that's difficult. But you know, not that it's him in particular. It's just he just moved from the XC2 class, and XC1's a lot different. Like you see guys like myself. And I've seen Liam do it already in the XC1 class. Craig DeLong, a few of these guys like Ben Kelly, if somebody's got the pass, you kind of let them have it. Not that you want to give it away, but like, what are they doing differently than me? So with that said, like of the XC1 guys, I probably have the toughest time getting around Ashburn because he's really fast and really rides really guarded. Super good dude. Super, you know, it's not that I'm bashing on these guys. It's just difference in how they ride. But as we saw, Craig DeLong came by just a little bit ago. Still have not seen the second place, which should be Liam Draper. Should be him coming now, and Lennon should be just behind him. Yeah, so there's Liam coming through and looking down at his bike.
Oh, interesting.
Not quite sure what that was. There goes Snodgrass.
Yeah, so Lendon's still sitting right there, and this is going into that bike only section I was talking about. It kind of goes in and does a horseshoe and comes back. So those guys should be able to look down, see roughly where Craig is, and man, as crazy as it sounds, we a lot of times leave and count in our heads. Like I know myself, I'm guilty of it, and a lot of us do. Like you kind of want to see, like, all right, this yo-yo, what's going on? Where am I faster on the track? And you know, that changes how you might attack certain places on the race course.
Stu, Jackson Burrell brought this up earlier. We had the delay today. We're late in the season. You've got the dust, the sun starting to set. How difficult is vision at this point in the race?
Ironman is always extremely difficult. Obviously, rolling in pretty late in the season, so we usually always catch a pretty bad glare. But the dust today was definitely more difficult in places. There was overall, I would say it's 50-50. Like there was 50% of the race course where, there was a little bit of low lingering dust, but it was still raceable. You could still make passes, charge, get to the rear tire of somebody. The other 50% of it, the way the dust was today, I think with that little bit of rain that we got, it stayed low to the ground and settled pretty quick. So there is Evan Smith.
Yeah,
we saw that
straight
made that
just
mistake.
in front of him.
That's pretty good gap from the podium group, but not completely out of it. Still a lap to go, and obviously in these conditions, all it takes is somebody suck a little bit of dust. And this is one of those sections where, man, the drone doesn't show it at all. But coming into this next right-hander right here, I was actually in the trees the first lap. Never saw the corner.
We actually saw a couple of people blow that corner, so you're not alone.
The drone, like I watched back West Virginia, and the drone is crazy. Like you can look down directly and see that rider from behind. There, you don't know who's there. Like you could be 5 feet from them, and you're going off a sound. Like there was a section where myself and Ben Kelly were literally just almost stopped in the back cornfield behind the Ironman Hill, and basing it off of dirt bike sounds. Like you're hearing where to go. It's that is when it gets scary. That was definitely pushing it there for me.
So we lose sight of your lead group for just a moment. They'll pop back out of the woods here. Any second now.
Closing in. Closing in.
Waiting with bated breath.
I was going to say, somebody's got to shake something up. We've got 30-second gaps all over the place out here. What goes through your head as a pro rider at that level? We've got some races where we're talking about a second and a half a second. And then what about days where there is a 30, 45-second gap between you guys? You just get that big space.
Man, it obviously depends on your position and who it is and who you have to beat. But those big gaps, like, I don't mind it. Here earlier this year when we came for the Hoosier, I was sitting 49 seconds down at one point. Obviously ended up coming back to win that event. And there was a few good gaps. And I don't mind seeing that pit board. I like as a racer, like when I can close the gap on somebody and they see 40, plus 49, plus 30, plus 20, plus 10, he's coming. Like that really affects another racer. So like I try to find those spots on the track where I know I'm feeling really good and chip away very aggressively. And I might cruise in another spot. But here today with the dust, like I expect to see those larger gaps, especially later in the race. Like, obviously in the position that Lennon and Liam are in, you're going to see Lennon try to get right to the rear wheel of him, which is what he needs to do. Try to get close enough to ride off of the rider in front of you, like actually see what their body's doing, because you can't necessarily see the ground. But when it comes to in the dust like this, to close a 10-second gap, it gets extremely difficult.
Makes sense.
Oh, that's unique. The guys are going around hay bales there. Odd. Yeah, that's not quite. I mean, it's obviously formed into a race line, but those hay bales are definitely there to create a chicane.
Yes. So we're rolling. Let's talk about this Duster. We talk about how important a good start is, obviously anywhere. Ironman, a little bit more room to pass. I think some of that has to do with the fact there's so many riders here. If we made it too tight, we'd be in bottlenecks and we'd never even get to the pro race. Is it a little easier given a Duster here at Ironman Raceway as opposed to any of the other tracks we run? Or is it still just you need that good start?
Honestly, like this year, the guys have gotten string happy, which obviously a lot of the pros have made comments about, so I'm not the first and definitely won't be the last. But the string that they've put around the race course makes it to where it is a lot more difficult than in years past, even at Ironman, even 22. Like, I felt like it was definitely dustier that year, but the passing opportunities were also greater. Here today, I found it extremely difficult to make moves. You just had to do it at the right place. I made a couple moves in the field, and luckily we do have those fields. But again, when you can't see, it's pretty sketchy to make those moves. And then beyond that, like the hill climbs, like usually you get to a hill climb and there's 10 or 12 lines. That's where, like, close the gap, try to get to the rear wheel of somebody quickly, so when you get there, you're at least giving yourself an opportunity to make it happen.
Makes sense. White flag out with Ricky Towery. Craig DeLong brings it out. Liam Draper in the 2 spot. Now the gap 39.5 seconds between first and second. And waiting on Snodgrass to check in that number 3 position. Last time around, he was 19 seconds back. Let's see what it is after 5. There it is. Finally, 14.5 seconds back to Lyndon Snodgrass sitting in the number 3 spot.
Seeing your leader on screen once again, Craig DeLong making his way through.
So DeLong trying to bring it home for what would be his first win of the season and kind of capitalize on a season with more downs than ups. And Stu, I'm glad you said it about ISDE. It's kind of in the back of my mind. A few good reasons for Craig to come out here and have a good final race. One, the way to that number 1 plate all season. Obviously, he's had a lot of things, some of those things out of his control, the injuries, etc. He's got to be feeling good about today if he can hang on for a win.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's riding phenomenal. He's standing up, kind of keeping everything. He's keeping the race managed perfectly. Like, he's not overriding. He got to where he needed to be. Sat on the rear wheel. Got to assume until Lennon made that mistake, and from there he just put his head down and rode his race. And he's riding good. He's not blowing up the silt. He's staying just below it, making sure that he's keeping that filter good. And yeah, I mean, Craig is he's got that number 1 plate for a reason. He's smart. He's a damn good racer. And I've spent a lot of time actually battling Craig, and he's always kind of like I mentioned with Liam moving into the XC1 class. Like, he's one of those guys where if he's not feeling it, he'll just slide over, let you go, and figure out what are you doing. And I actually talked to him about it here last year. Like, he's one of the few racers who have let me go, come back on one of my lines past me, and work me. So, oh man, bummer. Another one bites the dust, or eats the dust, I guess you could say.
Figuratively, literally. So Josh Strang out, pushing that machine back. Tough break for him, man. He had a good ride going there and some great battles against Evan Smith, and was wondering. He never did check in. Right now it's DeLong, Draper, Snodgrass, Evan Smith now up into the 4th spot. Ricky Russell in 5th place. And Toby Cleveland out of that XC2 class leading that and sitting 6th in the overall.
Toby Cleveland staying in there. He's been having a great run today.
Yeah, he's another guy I think he probably needed this. This is what we saw him doing in the XC3 class, and right now doing it in the XC2 here to close out the season. Got to feel good for Toby Cleveland.
Yeah, definitely. He's been one that obviously when you watch back on these shows, I can see he's usually up front and putting himself in a good position early on, but he seems to just always fall apart at some point during the race. And obviously today he's figured out whatever
another one.
Yeah, so obviously we saw BK kind of shifting backwards on the race course, and I would say it's safe to assume they're doing a filter. And same thing that happened with Lennon. Ryder obviously elected to pull in. Let's get this thing running a little bit better and get us back on the road.
Oh no, a little more.
Rear wheel. I see the filter came out, but obviously they're just going ahead and doing that in addition to whatever's going on with the rear wheel of that machine.
So trying to get Ben Kelly out there. Saw him putting the goggles back on. While we wait on that, man, Stu, let's talk a little bit about that XC2 this year. We come into 2024, never had we ever a XC2 overall. Toth did it in Georgia. Now, a little asterisk next to it. I'm not taking anything away from him, but it was an abbreviated race, right? It was a mutter. And then we have Grant Davis come out, and he's done it twice since then. We've never before seen the XC2 guys up into the pack of that XC1, man. What are these guys doing to get up there and hang with you guys?
Yeah, to be honest, it's just weird. I had this conversation with Thad the other day, like we were just kind of talking about. Obviously, the rumors of somebody possibly coming back to race some GNCCs that's been off for a few years.
Yes.
And, Yeah, it was. He kind of made the comment. He's like, "Is the speed the same? Is it different? Like, what's going on up there?" And realistically, like this year, I don't know why, but lap one, like these XC1 guys, just like unless Johnny or myself gets clear air on lap one, like we just sit in a train and just cruise. And I don't know why nobody wants to race. It's weird. Like after XC2 catches us, we then start racing. But I think the XC2 guys have all already learned to capitalize on that as well, and know that if they get to the rear wheel of somebody like myself early on, they just have to follow me to the front. And same thing that happened with West Virginia. Like obviously, talking to Grant after that event, like he sat there and saw my lines, paid attention, and I gave him the keys to the race. Yeah. And obviously, I didn't ride for him. Obviously, he definitely won that event, but he put himself in a good position and was able to use that position and capitalize on it. And I think they've got the speed and the capability to do it. And I remember being in XC2 kind of the same thing, like attack, get to the front, and try to get to the rear wheel. If you could see a Glenn Kearney or a Paul Whibley, I'm dating myself now. not as dated as the guy beside me, but
that's true. That's true. Oh, a little jab right there. Johnny's got to take his shots. He's in the booth with us.
Dude, I just got back.
Johnny didn't even have the headset on.
I didn't even have the headset on yet. It's already like, all right. Hey, Stu, let's tell the story about the time I kept you out of jail down in Daytona when you were 17 years old. How about that?
Man, those women in their tea time, they were really serious that next morning.
Oh, my goodness.
I don't know if we've told this story, but while we wait, Stu Baylor did some, what would we call that? Community service at the local golf course after he rearranged it the night before with a scooter. And luckily the owner was a big fan of GNCC, and I was able to talk him into letting Stu fix the damage that he had done.
Let me tell you, though, a Grom and a sand trap, pretty fun.
It was a ruckus. There was no Groms.
I would say there was no
Groms.
Grom. It couldn't have been that long.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, ruckus.
That's every kid's dream.
Grom.
We're not encouraging you kids to do this, by the way, but that's like every kid's dream.
Make sure that if you ever live out that dream, that you're not doing it in the sand trap that is outside of the golf course owner's back patio while he's watching the Monday Night Football game.
Oh, no.
And he sees headlights just around and around and around in his window, and he's like, that's weird. That's the sand trap on the 7th hole. And who is that? Why are they there?
Yeah. That one turned sideways real quick.
I imagine.
Leader on screen, the number one of Craig DeLong on that Rockstar Energy Racing Husqvarna out front, leading the way, opening up just a little bit more gap and starting to make it look even more sure that he will bring home the win here today at the Ironman GNCC. What a ride for Craig DeLong. We were wondering early in the race, how long can he hold out? How long is the hand going to hold up? We know the surgery, just got back to riding just 2 weeks ago, and now it's looking like he's putting the finishing touches on what will likely be a win here today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we just got to talking about it. He's really ridden a flawless race. He put himself in a good position, sat there, waited for that mistake, and was able to capitalize. And here we see Liam Draper, kind of the same thing. He's just riding his race, keeping his head down. And I'm sure those guys, obviously, they're great friends. And the last couple races, I think Craig's wished that he could be up there with Liam, and Liam's been having a lot of late season success. But I'm sure these guys are going to be stoked on the podium.
Lyndon Snodgrass checking in the number 3 spot, still plugging away, getting ever so closer to putting that Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Kawasaki on the podium here today. He and the team will be pleased with that result. And we were talking, Stu, before he came in, that and you may be able to shed some light. Don't know if you could share. Lyndon's still looking for a ride for 2025. Have you heard if he's got anything figured out? Or
at this point, I believe he is. I know I had heard some rumors that some West Coast teams were talking to him. He does ride that West Coast style very good, coming from Australia. But I believe the last that I heard, he was still looking for something. And what better way to finish the season? Obviously, his last couple races, he has been up front, just had minor setbacks to shift him backwards. But even last race, he's up front pretty much all day, and I think he's hungry, he's motivated, and definitely riding with a purpose at this point to try to find that ride.
Yeah, what a way to serve Novus. Hey, I'm on the podium, guys. I can do this for your team. Just send me a contract.
Absolutely.
That's
absolutely.
It. Well, We've got Craig DeLong out in front, a season of some ups and downs for him, but he's got the #1 plate for a reason, and one last time in 2024, he wants to show us why. White flag is out. We are approaching the checkered flag, and it is the #1 Rockstar Energy Factory Racing Husqvarna leading the way. Liam Draper in the #2 spot trying to capture another podium, and Lyndon Snodgrass trying to put an exclamation point on the season. All that and more coming up right after this commercial break. We'll be right back.
I'm Craig DeLong. You're watching GNCC Live on RacerTV.com.
Out like this, all my stresses just melt away.
I hear that. This bad boy can fix anything.
Yeah, tough day at work. Nice cruiser sorts you right out.
When I'm riding, I'm not even thinking about my painful cavity.
Oh, you shouldn't ignore that.
And every time I get stressed about having to pay my bills, I just hop on the bike, man.
Oh, come on, man. You gotta pay your bills.
You don't have to worry about anything when you're protected by America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
Well, you definitely do. Those things aren't related, so.
Ah, yee! Oh, that is a vibrating pain.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach. Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation. The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready. And welcome back to GNCC Live. Mikey Waynes alongside Johnny Gallagher and the Stu Baylor, Zach Heron, and Jackson Burrell in studio with us as well. And coming to the final moments, I guess, of 2024 and the Ironman with Craig DeLong out in front leading the way.
I think we may have just caught the tail end of Lyndon Snodgrass going up Ironman Hill. There would be your third place rider. I think we're going to get a replay, and we can confirm if it was. Just caught a little clip. Might have been him. So there is Craig DeLong still hopping off that rock, making it look easy and right up the quickest line. You can see how deep that rut is getting. Man. Definitely getting a little harder there in that left line. And looking back, next would be Liam Draper coming the 198 machine, and still just plugging away. Solid ride for Liam today. I mean, really has been, I can't think of any other way to describe it, but solid since moving up to that XC1 class.
Yeah, definitely on the podium every single round since he's been on the 450. So, yeah, he's figured it out, and I kind of made mention, and we obviously as one of the XC1 vets, we've definitely talked about this stuff before, but the way that some of the guys will wave somebody by, hey, I want to see what he's doing. We saw it there at West Virginia where he waved Johnny by, and it's kind of one of those things where you have to really be playing out a 3-hour event to even consider doing that. Like to pay attention overall, like, hey, I need to see what this guy's doing differently than me, and he's really used it as a learning year, and he's done, I think, a lot better than definitely I expected, and I believe probably anybody else, even himself.
Yeah, playing with house money. I mean, he's not racing for points. He's racing for individual finishes, getting himself ready next year. And we've said it multiple times. I mean, he himself, the team around him have all said as soon as he got on that 450 and even started riding it for sprints, immediately faster, more comfortable. Even though he was the defending XC2 champ, just really suited that Yamaha YZ450 so well. And obviously showing it again here today.
So I know, Stu, we're going to talk about it here in a minute, but I know you're going to be in the deer stand soon. We actually had a chance to catch up with your brother, Grant Baylor, get his insights on, again, catching deers.
I got a lot of hunting stories. Been doing a lot of hunting over the years. Let's see. Probably a good one to share would be hunting with one of the mechanics here, Garrett Ward. I was probably 12 years old, 13 maybe. And it was me and Garrett and Stewart. And Garrett shot a deer. Him and Stewart were sitting on the ground hunting together, and Garrett had shot a deer. And we were tracking it, and we ended up not finding the deer. He had made a bad shot or whatever, and we didn't find the deer. So the rule is, you miss a deer, wound it, and you can't find it, or I guess if you wound a deer and can't find it, you gotta lose part of your shirt tail. You get it cut off with a pocket knife. And so Stuart walked up behind Garrett and grabbed his shirt and went to cut off a chunk of his shirt tail, and Garrett thought it'd be a great idea to turn around and grab the knife. So Garrett slashed his whole hand open, and we went back to the house, found some super glue, glued him back up. I mean, it was pretty much to the bone, but I mean, he's all good now, so it worked out. But yeah, I mean, there's plenty of hunting stories. Last year I actually ended up, I mean, probably not gonna care about this unless you're like an actual avid hunter, but I ended up killing my biggest buck to date, and I'm an archery hunter. I only archery hunt, so I grunt called a buck in that I've been targeting out in Missouri, and it was a 3.5-year-old buck. I had some experience with him in the year past. He cut his ear in half fighting the year before, so I knew it was the same deer. So he's got 1.5 ear, and he was a 14-point, 10-point mainframe, and I grunted him in right to my stand, and got him up to about 15 yards, and he looked right up at me and kind of made eye contact, and he got weary, and started stepping away. But when he started stepping away, I took my chance, and he stepped behind a tree, and I drew back and made it happen. Made a perfect shot, and he ran 30 yards and hit a tree, big old oak tree, straight on. I mean, he ended up breaking his rack a little bit, but it was awesome, just the whole experience. It was the coolest deer hunting experience I've ever had.
That was like a chef explaining like a 5-course meal he made from scratch. Right there. That was gorgeous.
Keywords: avid hunter.
Yes,
avid hunter.
All right, now Stu, big brother, is in the booth with us. Was that all BS?
No, that's pretty accurate. I did stab my friend. We'll just leave it at that.
Salt, brother.
Craig Long putting the final knife wounds in the competition here at the Ironman GNCC. Now just clicking off the miles, getting ever so close to what will be a checkered flag waving, looking almost to be an assured win for the Rockstar Husqvarna rider. Craig DeLong really looking to put a cherry on top of what's been a less than desirable Sunday for him. Yeah. Sunday spelled AE in 2024. Liam Draper still keeping him honest, close back there. Craig definitely doesn't want to hit the ground, but it actually looked to me in the last shot that Lyndon Snodgrass was a little closer to Liam Draper. So how close can he get? Liam Draper not taking a look over his shoulder, so he must feel pretty confident about the gap as they're, like we said, just clicking off the miles at this point.
Yeah, definitely. And the one to think about is if Lyndon, no, never mind, he's still close enough. I was thinking if he slid back too much more, you'd have to watch the the 347 Evan Smith, who obviously had made some positions there that last lap before he made a mistake that was actually caught here on this camera shot. But no, it seems at this point, obviously, unless anything crazy took place, I think that's our overall podium, and everybody's got a pretty good gap on the next. And yeah, solid ride for all three of those guys. Definitely a very challenging track, difficult to see, and I got to battle with some guys, not with these three, but being in the midst of that battle that a lot of these guys were in majority of the day, it's tough not to make mistakes out here.
Yeah, visibility definitely has been an issue all day today. That dust just kind of hanging. We got that rain on Friday morning, and it made the track really honestly pretty prime for the youth races yesterday morning and even the early on parts of the morning race. But since then, it's just continued to get a little siltier, a little more powder. That dust just kind of hanging in the air. Evan Smith on screen would potentially be a career best for him. I believe he had a 5th already early in the year. And Ricky Russell now getting pretty close to the back. Evan Smith looking to try to bump him back and maybe take away that career best 4th place position. Evan may have had a 4th already this year. I know he had a top 5. We'll look back and instead of speculating, we'll just look at our handy dandy little information sheet here.
Yeah, I believe he did get a 5th was the best that I remember him getting, and yeah, you look at this lineup right now. So 3rd place, 4th place, 5th place, and 6th place. To my knowledge, all of these guys are still hunting for next season, trying to figure out what they're going to do as far as rides go.
Yeah, Evan Smith opened up at our season opener at Big Buck with a 5th, so sure he would love to close it out with a 4th or even a 5th here today to kind of make the end of the season sweet, just like the beginning of it was, but in position to do that right now.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, it's one of those things where it is the last round, and all of those guys are fighting for every bit they can. Ricky and Evan included. They want rides. These guys got to feed the family, pay the bills, and at this point, that's what it comes down to. And aside from the National Enduro next weekend, this is kind of the last opportunity on the big screen, at least, to make it happen. And here we see the leader of XC2, Toby Cleveland, who is just an astonishing ride. Guys made a lot of mistakes this year, and this is an easy track to make mistakes on. And it's whoa.
Oh, Cody Barnes is coming hard. A minute 3 down is what he was a couple laps ago, and now he's, I would say less than 20 seconds. What was he when they checked in?
When they checked in, about 37 seconds was the gap.
That was not 37
gone.
there.
That was gone.
That one may come down to the wire. They are running out of track quickly, though.
Yeah, definitely. And the passing opportunities there towards the end, they're really, as you can see, all that pink string. There's more of that than lines. So, not saying that you can't force it. Not saying that you can't make it happen. If you really, really wanted to make it happen, there's a few chicanes coming down Pro Road just before the finish line, and if you wanted to throw your front end into somebody's rear real quick, it would be very easy to punt somebody in those sections. So, that was actually, I thought we were going to see it. I don't know if you guys caught that with Craig and Lennon coming out of the pro pits the lap they pitted, but I thought for sure somebody was going down.
Oh, yes.
They both
oh, yes, we did catch that one, yeah.
Jordan Ashburn, Sam's front number plate. Who needs that? An early crash. He left that piece of we left it for a souvenir for an Ironman fan.
I got to see that crash. I got to see that crash. It was himself and Ricky Russell right pretty much 30 seconds into the race course, and yeah, it was a pretty good one.
10-mile marker now. Craig DeLong on screen. There we see his mechanic Potter there just kind of fist bumping him, and it's been a tough season for those two, but what better way to close it out, try to get some momentum going for 2025 than to finish out of the top center of the box there, and that's what he's looking to do here today.
Yeah, most definitely. Craig's definitely in need of this one, and that number 1 plate, everybody talks about it being heavy. At the end of the day, I don't think it's necessarily that. I think he tried a little bit, just some different things, and I don't know this for fact. I haven't talked to him about it, but I heard a lot of people saying he was trying some different things earlier this season. Don't know that everything worked out, and I think maybe that injury just kind of reset his mind and put him back on track, and obviously he is back on track.
Liam Draper looking like he's kind of maybe relegated himself to that number 2 spot, knowing what's left. Didn't look like he was pushing, going fast, but that wasn't a full all-out charge. I think he's seen the time gap stabilize, hasn't really been able to make any inroads to get any closer to Craig. Still having a pretty solid gap over that rider right there, Lyndon Snodgrass, and now, just kind of riding it out, taking his second place for the day, and still making for some great racing action between those two all day long.
Yeah, definitely. At this point in the race, actually, those last couple miles are fairly dusty. As you can see, that dust just lingering, and man, it's easy to miss that silt hole, that root, that rock, whatever that little bit of that layer of dust is disguising. And yeah, I mean, at this point, the worst thing he can do is push too hard. Like, settle in. He's not going to be able to close that gap, and if he did, chances of it happening slim to none. But yeah, it's these last few miles were definitely some of the dustier portions of the race course. There's Evan Smith.
There we see Evan Smith, and we do know Ricky Russell was just behind him in our last camera shot. Looking like Evans opened things up a little bit, but here comes the 212 and Pro Yamaha of Ricky Russell running in the number 5 spot. That actually interesting. I pulled up the results here. Equals his best performance of 2024. Says a lot about the year that Ricky Russell's had. I mean, this is a guy who we've seen win many races. We've seen, or several at least, races, and also, you know, a consistent podium contender this year. Only one top 5 finish with the 5th, only one other top 10 with an 8th, and only a total of 5 finishes through 12 rounds. Today would make 6 of 13 if he can get to the finish. So injuries, issues throughout the year. You know, Ricky Russell's looking probably for a shot at redemption if he gets the opportunity and gets a ride to come back and try his hand in GNCC again in 2025. Yeah,
definitely. I've heard speculation that he will have something for next year, so that's good. Ricky's obviously a good personal friend of mine, and yeah, he's I think the last National Enduro he ended up there on the box in 3rd, and he's kind of clicking here these last couple rounds, and it's good to see, because yeah, there for a bit I think it was going to be really difficult for him to make it happen. And here's the leader of XC2. We'll see if Cody Barnes has closed any on Toby Cleveland.
Looking like he may get the job done here. He's got a decent gap and maybe even opened it up a little bit over. Oh, here comes Cody.
Yeah, I would say at this point it looks like, unless a major mistake happened, I think we're going to have Toby take this one home. As I said, that last portion of track is fairly dusty. There was a little bit of moisture between the last camera shot and here, so if Cody was going to make it happen, he was going to have to make it happen then, and it seems that he failed to do so. But obviously, anything can happen. It's and we've seen that throughout this year racing, and you know, a prime example, myself in Tennessee in the last couple miles that took a 40-second lead to 4. So yeah, anything can happen in those last couple miles when that heart's pumping. You know, one quick mistake with a lapper and things can change. But overall, he's ridden a phenomenal race, and I think we're going to see Toby Cleveland click off that first big win.
Yeah, no, to that point, I mean, we saw him do amazing things out of that XC3, and just waiting for it to click for him here and making it happen here to close out the season, carry a little momentum into the offseason.
And here on screen, we've got Craig DeLong. And, man, just I said it a few times, just a picture-perfect, flawless race. Put himself in a good position. When that opportunity came, he took advantage of it. Didn't look back. No mistakes. No pun intended with the looking back. That is something that he doesn't do. Like you guys say, he doesn't do that much anymore.
We caught him earlier today. It wasn't really the look over the shoulder, but it was kind of the glance.
Yeah, and that's good. Like, you know, we mentioned that earlier. Like, you definitely want to see who it is, like who's coming, who's there. But yeah, he's definitely racing ahead of himself. And yeah, at this point, it's just riding this thing into the finish line with a good 30+ second lead over the 198 of Liam Draper. And man, just what a stellar ride for the Husqvarna program and Craig DeLong today.
Really statement race for Craig as well. You know, coming off the injury, you know, he wanted to be a part of the ISCE team, as you pointed out, Stu. So coming out here and saying, "Hey, I'm still worthy. I still got it. I can hang with these guys. I can be a contender."
You know, it was funny. We were on the starting line, and I was standing there chatting with Craig, and brand coordinator Auntie Colin and former KTM team manager came up and fist bumped Craig, and he said, "Where are we at today?" And Craig said, "Ironman." And he said, No. Where are we at today? And what are you going to do? And Craig said, I'm going to run up front, and I'm going for the win. And I said, that's what I want to hear. And it was almost like Craig seemed like he was trying to convince himself. Well, Craig, you convinced yourself, and you convinced everyone in attendance that that's what you came for today. Maybe you just need to believe in yourself a little more often.
Yeah, he definitely put that one together, and not like the start did him obviously a favor, but definitely did not lead this thing from the start. So he had to come through the dust, come from behind, make it happen, and that he did. Here we see checking through the finish line, and that's got to be a major sigh of relief. A very, very troublesome year for Craig McGee out there with injuries and setbacks throughout the year, but man, it feels good to grab that one this season.
That's it. Hey, Ironman's been good to Craig. I believe a few years back, this is where he wrapped up that XC2 championship as well, and he will close out 2024 with that #1 jersey on one last time this year and do it in style with a win to close it out. Waiting on Liam Draper now and Lyndon Snodgrass in that 2 and 3 spot to check in. So last time they checked in, about a 40-second gap. We'll see what it is when Liam comes through, and there he is. So great closeout season for, am I wrong, or Liam, every race on the 450
on
made
the podium.
a podium?
Yep.
Man, good start.
I mean, yeah. I can't really
ask for anything more. I mean, really.
Truthfully, I can't think of anybody who's, I shouldn't say ever, but in recent memory that's had that consistent of a start in, 4 races now in the XC1 class. Their first 4 races, 4 podiums.
Ben Kelly.
Did he?
Oh, I want to say he won out.
I bet you're right.
It was IDNF there at West Virginia, and he won. And I want to say he won the next one and possibly the next 2.
You might be right. You might be right.
But Ben at that point in time was another level.
Yeah.
And there you see these guys checking in. So that was a perfect race by Craig, man. He really put that one together. And Liam, again, he's using it as a learning season, and I believe he's learned everything he needs moving into next season. And Lyndon, hungry for that ride. Obviously a great chance for him to go out and say, hey, I can put you on the podium.
Yeah, he certainly can. And Lyndon did check in officially there in the #3 spot. Zach Heron standing by with our winner here today, Craig DeLong. Take it away, Zach.
One second, guys. Look at that. Throws on the goggles. Gonna put on the hat. Blow that nose, Craig. You've been working hard, man. He says he's stuffed up, been eating dust for the last 3 hours. But, ladies and gentlemen, Craig DeLong puts the #1 on top. Your winner here at the Ironman GNCC. There was a lot of question marks surrounding what you were going to be capable of doing today. Obviously, coming back from an injury. But we said you got the win. Fancy. Pinkies up, right, man? Take us through it. Congratulations.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I honestly didn't know where I was going to stack up either. I rode about 5 times, and since I broke my hand, so I didn't know where I. And the most I rode was about 30 minutes. So man, I had no idea how I was going to do, and that was tough, man. My hands were blistered about the pit stop, and I was just hanging on as best as I could. And but man, that was awesome. What a day! Just man, I've only ridden a couple races that was that dusty, and that was pretty bad. Just trying to get as close as I could to Lyndon, and man, I made the pass stick, and I ran and blew up as much dust as I could. I didn't want nobody getting close to me. So man, it's awesome. I'm happy to end it on top for not just myself, but the team and everyone involved. So thank you.
Hey, without a doubt, I was going to say, it seems like the overall theme of not only the race but the season is grit. You were tired, but you pushed through it. You had some things not go your way early in the season, but you continue to push through. What a statement and what a way to end the season, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I hate to say it, but honestly, I needed a break, and as crappy as that sounds, it did me good. So I came in, I was super motivated, and I didn't kind of second guess myself, but I knew deep down that I wanted to do good, so I did that.
You ready to come out swinging for next year?
Oh, yeah.
All right, man, we'll enjoy this. Celebrate it. Craig DeLong puts the #1 on top to end the 2024 season.
Oh, big congratulations to Craig right there. Certainly, he wanted that one, and dust boogers be danged. He was going to get it here today.
Yeah, he said it there in his interview. Had not ridden more than 30 minutes consecutively since the surgery, since his injury. It's just sometimes you just kind of roll the dice, and today he rolled them, and it just came up all good for him. I mean, he was able to hold it all the way to the end. He talked about how dusty it was. Again, big advantage once he was able to get out front, just kind of managing his effort, managing the, he didn't really talk too much about the pain there, so I guess he must be good, and that's good news for GNCC fans. A healthy Craig DeLong coming into 2025. Obviously, we'll likely to see him back up in the mix there again, battling for wins and maybe a championship again in 2025.
Going to have to go up against guys like this. Liam Draper having a sensational day and a sensational closeout to the season. Jackson Burrell standing by with him now.
Yeah, guys, I'm down here with Liam Draper, our second place here today, man. Liam, you're proving yourself to be a force to reckon with in the XC1 class. Take us through your day. Take us through getting this second place.
Yeah, I got off to a pretty decent start. I think I was fifth, and made passes on fourth to get up there, and I knew Craig was going to be good, that he was out front. We've been riding in the dry hard pack all week, so it was, I knew I'd have to get to him, and Lyndon was kind of checking out, and I made some quick passes and found myself with Lyndon and Craig, and tried really hard after the pit stop to sprint back up. I had a crash, and then I crashed again, and I was like, man, this is going to be tough to catch up. And I seen that Craig got to the lead and was pulling away, so kind of just rode smart. The silt was way worse than I thought it was going to be, and yeah, just happy to finish on the year with another podium and go into 2025.
Hey, speaking of 2025, how do you feel going into it? Do you feel like you've done everything that you could have to be prepared?
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a long winter, and time to bust my butt and get ready for round one.
All right, guys, that's Liam Draper, your second place on the day.
Well, there you go. Liam closing out the season strong since coming back from summer break. Obviously a knee injury and surgery leading into summer break, taking him out effectively of that XC2 championship battle, which effectively was a rough go for him early in the season. Anyway, with his best overall finish up to that point being a sixth at round 7, coming back from summer break, 3-2, 3-2 the last 4 races on the box overall every round.
Yeah, just, I mean, what more could you ask for out of your rider moving up to the XC1? A great finish out for him. And standing by for an interview with Lyndon Snodgrass, our third place finisher, coming up here in just a moment. By the way, it was Toby Cleveland wrapping that win up in the XC2 class. 17 seconds back was Cody Barnes, and Angus Reardon took third. And sounds like we're actually standing by with Toby Cleveland, your winner of the XC2.
Hey, thanks, guys. We are down here with the first-time XC2 winner, Toby Cleveland. We saw the emotion as he came across the line. You just told me, I can't believe it, man. Take us through the emotions you're feeling right now.
I can't even explain how hyped I am. I mean, I came out here today. I did not expect to win. And I come into that second turn, got pushed out wide, and then I got going second in the woods, and I was like, today's my day. I put the hammer down, got into the lead, and then caught the XC1 riders pretty fast, and then just kind of stayed right behind them, got around a few of them, and just charged all the way to the end.
Now, this has been a pretty gnarly season. You moved up from the XC3 class. We've seen you have some good performances, but some big crashes, some at GNCC, some at other races as well, but you put it all behind you. Where's the mindset at now and the confidence here in the XC2 class?
Yeah, I definitely didn't have a great year, or what I expected I wanted, but I don't know. I just, at the end of the year, besides that last race, I just knew I had it. I've been training my ass off, and I wanted it today, but I did not expect to actually get it.
All right, well, the hard work pays off, man. You ready to get to work and come out swinging in 25?
Oh, absolutely. I'm ready for the grind.
We're looking forward to seeing it. Toby Cleveland enjoying the spoils of victory here in XC2.
Well, congratulations to Toby Cleveland taking his first win in the XC2 class, finishing well up into the top 10 as well. Solid day for him. Again, Barnes taking second in that one, and Angus Reardon finishing out there, wrapping up your top 3. And waiting on an interview here with the 178 of Lyndon Snodgrass, our third place finisher in the overall. Getting that one set up down there.
It's got to be a great feeling for Lyndon. It's been a struggle, I think, for him this year. And
okay. So it sounds like Lyndon Snodgrass just got reports. Sounds like he may have headed right back to the pits. Maybe need to get rehydrated, what have you. But nonetheless, I think that's going to wrap things up for us down there. So we'll jump into our specialized race recap. So taking a look at the Specialized Race Recap, kicking up a little dust here in Indiana as our riders jockeying for position out in front, and it was Craig DeLong. I believe Craig got credited with the whole shot. It was close between him and Linden, but from my angle, it certainly looked like Craig DeLong grabbing that early, but it was Snodgrass out with the early lead.
Yeah, Craig was credited with the excellent whole shot award and put himself into that number 2 spot early. Mike Wachowski, solid local Indiana product up there in the top 3, but Linden Snodgrass had the clear vision, the clear track, and really, really looking good through the first several laps of this one here today.
As the race wore on there, Craig DeLong going to work. No problems with Ironman Hill. You guys make that look way, way too easy, by the way, Stu. But again, just some great racing. Saw some big gaps today, kind of to be expected, given the dusty conditions here at Ironman.
Nice mulch section. We gave the riders some options, and we see that here. Linden Snodgrass taking the serpentine route with the chicanes. Craig DeLong hopping over the logs, trying to make up a little time, and it really was just kind of a battle of inches until we actually got to see some wheel-to-wheel battling. Finally, it was finally Craig DeLong able to kind of push up, get ever so much closer to the rear wheel of Linden Snodgrass. And then we saw him coming to the pits, and this is where the race was really on. Stu, you were talking, thinking maybe we'd see some contact here.
Yeah, I actually was able to slip up and check this one out. I really thought that all of the banners in the chicane were going to be flattened out right about this instance. Yeah. I think Craig was a little too nice.
He definitely was. He left. Maybe karma paid him back and gave him the opportunity later. And then we saw him getting up close, trying to take a different line here. Battle. But Linden Snodgrass able to close the door. But Craig at this point looking like he was not going to be denied. We got to the Twin Hills. Craig takes that outside line. Linden up the main line. Craig able to make the pass. They're kind of at the base of the hill, actually. From there, we saw the quick look back.
That was a look.
That was a look over. Wanted to see how much of a gap he had. And from here, we heard him say, man, I was charging. I was trying to make a little dust, trying to make it a little bit easier for myself.
Oh, this was where I believe it was Snodgrass that had went down. We originally thought that was Draper, but Snodgrass going down right there. Quick to get back on the machine and rolling. And that just gave Craig even more breathing room out in front.
Yep, Draper there up into the number 2 spot, worked his way around Snodgrass, saying he tried to go after Craig, but had some crashes, found himself in a position where he felt it was better just to kind of try to manage his effort to the finish line, bring home another podium on the day. Craig DeLong still out front, not so much looking over his shoulder anymore, starting to feel a little more comfortable. First ride back from that big injury that he had, surgery, missing around, and now back. And what better way to do it than come back, grab the lead halfway through the race, or a little over halfway, and then bring it home to the checkers. Ricky Towery waving that checkered flag. Craig DeLong saying, thank you very much. I'll take that win. This is a great way for Craig DeLong to cap off his 2024 season.
Yeah, got to feel good if you're Craig. Little ride of redemption, making him feel like that number 1 plate that he earned, no doubt. So Craig DeLong, Draper, Snodgrass, Evan Smith, solid ride for him. Ricky Russell, good day for him. Toby Cleveland taking that win in the XC2. Barnes and Angus Reardon second, third in the XC2, and you see where they are in the OA. And then Ashburn and Rui Barbosa rounding out your top 10 here at the Ironman GNCC. And Stu, I'm going to throw it to you, man. We've been doing this all season long, kind of final thoughts or big takeaways here. Maybe, I tell you what, from today and from the season, it can be your perspective, anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, like, the two, and I think it's very obvious, is going to be Toby Cleveland, kind of stamping that with that win, closing out the season. That's just a huge motivator going into the offseason. That is 100% every day you wake up. You know what that feeling's like, and you want to replicate it. Beyond that, Liam Draper. Yeah. 4 for 4 in those last few rounds. I can't take anything away from the guy. Obviously, it could be better with a win, but man, as far as I'm concerned, that's as close as you can get to perfection with your big change moving up to XC1, because it is a completely different style of racing. But his starts were good, and I definitely talked about it a lot, but he used it as a learning experience, and I think he put himself in good positions with good riders, and now he knows what it takes.
I like that. Johnny?
Mine's going to be pretty simple. Welcome back, Craig DeLong.
Yes.
Very rough 2024 campaign for our defending champion coming into the season. Just things didn't go his way, not for lack of trying at times, but today everything went his way. He made it that way, and expecting a good ride out of him today. Did not expect the win, but very impressive to see, and I think it bumps him up a little higher on that list of contenders for next year. But it's silly season, baby.
Yeah,
we don't know what's going to happen, but we know we're coming back in February. We're going to be racing, and you're going to be out there racing. We'll be calling the action.
Be talking about it.
And obviously, you very much on the list of contenders, but you better watch out for that DeLong guy, man. He's on fire. He rode
I'm
well
telling
today.
you, there's one other name that I don't know how to take. There's one other name that, man, when is that going to come out?
Johnny Gerard. Yeah, he's
He had the big. Sure.
He's always having a baby. He'll be back soon, and he'll be obviously rocking that number 1 plate.
Yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole, but silly season going to be in full effect. Stu, you dropped some bombs today. You came out with it. The general going to be team manager next year, and a few other changes as well. That's very exciting.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, aside from the racing, this is the most entertaining portion of the year because there are rumors flying. Some are very solid, and obviously in my position, I know the ones that are concrete and the ones that aren't. But yeah, and as far as racing goes, now that that's kind of sidelined, now gets the interesting portion of the season, and obviously Facebook has already alluded towards a lot that maybe happen, maybe not happening. But yeah, like he said, Johnny Gerard with the big number 1 plate, man.
All right, I'll break the news, guys. Here it is. I'm coming out. XC1 Racing, Dirt Bikes 2025. I'm coming for you, baby. I'm coming for you.
What is this, your 39th professional season?
Not far off, but yeah.
That's beautiful. Well, that's going to wrap us up for today here at the Ironman Raceway. That is going to wrap us up for the season. Take a look. We've got more coming on RacerTV.com. Of course, we got Bagger Racing League round number 5 for Willow Springs, California, and then round number 6 as well. Minios will be down there Thanksgiving week with all the action. Stu, will you be down at Minios?
I will definitely join you at least for a little bit.
Let's go. Love to hear that. And then don't forget to check out those GNCC highlight episodes come out at 7 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday nights. On behalf of Jackson Burrell, Zach Herron, Johnny Gallagher, Stu, I'm throwing you in there too. Camera operators Corey, Matt, Josh, Mike, Leah, Kirsten, and Jack, our drone pilot, Gabe Scholl, manager Dan Reinhardt, engineer in charge Jordan McFadden, our director Don Hampton, producer Adam Gordon, and our executive producer Miss Terry Jo Russell. I'm Mikey Waynes, and we'll see you at the races.